It is a good morning indeed. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Rob Brown Show back on your Radio 1 Mo Time again. Happy midweek, my dudes, my dudettes. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, and you. It is, of course, the biggest weekend of the year. It is, of course, a weekend that is a cause for joy, for celebration, happiness, exuberance reigns across the land. It is WrestleMania week here on the show.
I thought you were going to say it's the start of the NBA playoffs.
I mean, it is. I actually watched a lot of basketball last night. Watched quite a bit. I watched 2 whole games of basketball last night.
2/3 of one game before I fell asleep. I watched Atlanta try to come back.
Yeah, Trae Young, what are we doing, buddy? What are we doing, Trae? What are we doing, pal?
I missed the ejection. I slept through it, but
Trae was frustrated, and it was understandable why Trae was frustrated. There were a couple of spots that the Atlanta Hawks it was like they were out of sorts. And Trae was really the only guy that was able to get anything going. And then there were a couple of, I'll be willing to give Trae a couple of questionable calls that went Orlando's way. Do I think it was nefarious? Do I think it was some, shady, underhanded way to ensure that Orlando rolled on into a playoff spot? No, I don't. I don't think Orlando is, one of those teams that the NBA is going to give extra care, love, and attention to. So, no, I don't think it was nefarious. I do think it was just there were some spots where it was a poorly officiated game. And Trae Young was frustrated, so he drives to the rack, he makes a bucket, and as he's turning to go back up the field, back up the court, the ball bounces next to him. He takes the ball, and he throws a bounce pass over to the referee who was on the baseline to give him the ball to start the next run of play. But yeah, he had a little pepper on it, a little spice, a little kick to the pass. As soon as I saw it, I was watching in the Bro Cave, and as soon as I saw Trae let that thing rip over to the sideline ref, I was like, yeah, he gone. He gone. Hey, a question mark. He's gone. You can't let that thing be a thing. And the problem was the Hawks weren't out of the game at that point.
It looked like they were going to be at halftime because they were getting their butts whipped. And then in that third quarter, they come back and they played good defense. They got back into the game. And it's like they were always 2 or 4 away until I fell asleep. And apparently they didn't get enough to win the game.
They did not. They did not. I can confirm that is the case. Is the Orlando Magic behind Franz Wagner?
Exactly. Every time they said Franz Wagner, I laughed.
Franz Wagner.
You could tell the announce team really enjoyed that. I did realize something about myself watching the NBA and 2 teams that I could care less about, that I definitely am a player guy, because there are a bunch of players on both teams that I have no idea who they were.
I really like the Magic. It's a good young team. Good young team. I think Orlando, and this has been
I wish Franz would have gotten to play with his brother.
Franz Wagner.
And Mo Wagner.
Franz Wagner is Franz Wagner and the Magic are a team that I've been hyping for a minute now.
He doesn't look like his name, though. I expected something a little more nefarious.
No, why? Just because he's German?
Doesn't he sound like a Bond
Franz
villain?
Wagner.
He sounds like a Bond villain.
I don't know. Wagner's not really a super bad guy name. That'd be like if you had a bad guy's last name was Smith. Yeah, not super intimidating. Franz Wagner had 13 boards in the effort last night, as well as 13 points, 19 for Wendell Carter Jr. Paulo Banchero had 17 points on 9 of 11 from the floor, 9 boards, 7 assists, and they got 26 out of Cole Anthony from off the bench of 10 of 17 from the floor. For the Hawks, Trae Young tossed with 28 points, played 40 minutes of basketball before he was sent to the showers with an ejection. And that's frustrating to me because I actually really like Trae Young. That's frustrating to me because I really want Trae Young to be a guy in the league. He doesn't necessarily have, to me, any one quality that jumps off the page as this guy is face of the NBA. But he's good enough all around. He's good enough all around that I really do think he could be kind of in that conversation of guys who drive the league. Guys that if you are like Lonzo, a player's guy, not a team guy, would make the Atlanta Hawks a really interesting team because of Trae Young. And he doesn't really have, this isn't like Ja Morant, right? Like we've had the conversation about why there's a lot of guys, if they did what Ja did, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But Ja's got a reputation, Ja's got a legacy, and that changes like what the reaction to your behavior, the consequences to your behavior is very regularly predicated on your past history, your past behaviors, et cetera, et cetera. And so it is the past history and behavior that have gotten Ja Morant in trouble for his continued shenanigans. Trae Young doesn't really have a history of being that guy, doesn't ever really have a history of being the guy that slams the ball at the official, doesn't really have a history of being the guy that throws the real hard bounce pass to kind of show up the referee. He doesn't really have that history. So this is one that I'm kind of like, all right, I'm going to overlook it. It was a dumb decision. I'm not arguing that it wasn't. It's something I guarantee you he's going to wake up today and be like, I can't believe I did that, because with the L last night, now the Atlanta Hawks, instead of go to the NBA playoffs like the Orlando Magi are doing, now here's the bounce pass. Oh, no. Oh, it wasn't a bounce pass. He just threw it at his chest. And they teed him up for that. Here's the pass on. So tell me if you think this is fair for an ejection or not. Oh, no, that wasn't it. That was earlier in the game he did that. Oh, this was post-ejection. Okay, I didn't see that part. So post-ejection, as he was walking off, he had the ball. The ref was trying to take it from him, and he kind of was like, you know, doing magic tricks, doing some Harlem Globetrotter stuff to keep the ball away from him. But the initial pass, I thought it was a bounce pass. It was not. I forgot it was.
I saw it. I looked up in time. There's a little bit of something behind it.
Oh, absolutely.
But it looks like he may have had words probably with that ref throughout, and how he acted afterwards. That's probably some extra money in his fine, I'm guessing.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. He's going to take an extra $50K for that. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm probably willing to forgive Trae Young because Trae Young hasn't really had a bunch of that going on. Trae Young hasn't really been missing time. He hasn't really cost the Hawks a lot in terms of that type of behavior. So, like, that's one I'm going to look at and go, all right, like, it was dumb, Trae, and you got to do better. But you lost the game and you lost to a good Magic team. A Magic team I've been telling you all year. Like this team's got a little something to it. This team feels to me like if they can get on a 3-game heater and then they can steal one somewhere else, like maybe they're an opening round upset team somewhere. Maybe they're an opening round team upset. I like that team a lot. Now Atlanta has to play on Friday, and it is an elimination game. Winner goes on, loser goes home. We're going to talk about that. Golden State gets the dub last night. They are going to be moving on into the second to last seed in the East. They knock off Ja Morant and the Grizzlies 121-116. Tell you what I saw out of Golden State last night, because there were about 4 different spots in this game that I was like, yo, I think Memphis is going to win this thing. What I saw out of Golden State last night, and I don't consider myself a Steve Kerr simp by any stretch of the imagination. I do think.
Really?
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I like Steve Kerr, but I don't consider myself a simp. I don't put him in the I'm not putting him in the GOAT conversation of coaches. I think he's very good.
I don't recall you ever disagreeing with anything he's ever said, ever.
Well, how much have I ever come across? He's the head coach of Golden State. Right? Like if he was coaching the Hornets, maybe I'd have more interaction. However, there are some things that Steve Kerr has to do in order to manage a team that is the greatest shooter of all time on it, that has a very good player, but an incredible hothead in Draymond Green on it, that has a lot of young guys on it that are trying to be a young guy on that team and try to establish yourself in Steph Curry's world isn't an easy task. I remember when I first got into radio, when I first got into the gig, into the profession, the station that I was working at had on it locally broadcasted 2 very popular sports talk shows in our market, a morning and an evening college football show. They were huge. And so when I stepped into that role and they were like, we want you to start developing yourself as an on-air persona. We want to give you the opportunity to kind of feel out radio and get comfortable for how the job works. Man, the first probably 6-8 months were tough, because how do you establish yourself when you are working in the same offense as a couple of dudes that have the history in the area, the market history, the legacy, and the ratings that they can look and they can go, get out of the way, kid. I got this. I know what I'm doing. I've been here. I've been doing this a long time. It's kind of tough to find an identity when you're playing in that. That being said, can we all take just a moment to welcome back Playoff Jimmy B? Playoff Jimmy Buckets is back, baby. Just like I told you what, I was on BetMGM tonight last night before that game started, and they were like, what's your best bet on the night? Jimmy Butler over points. It was at like 17.5. Like, you kidding me? This kid's probably getting 25 tonight. He ended up with 38, led all scorers in that contest last night. Playoff Jimmy B is back. This is why I refused to count Golden State out as a possible, genuine contender in the West. As much as everybody ran to the LA Lakers, and they should, that's a very good team. As much as everybody ran straight to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they should, that's a very good team. I've said the whole time, like, don't count out Golden State, because they have a secret weapon that nobody is paying attention to. We have an army. We have a Jimmy. They got playoff Jimmy B. 38 points last night. Kid can still go. And on top of that, and this is why the failure of Jimmy, I don't want to say the failure of Jimmy Buckets in Miami, but the failure of Miami when they had Jimmy Butler, to me, is amplified. Because this is exactly the cat you've gotten. And what did he prove to us all last night? He can play within a system with another superstar. He can play within a system with another superstar. He can be the assist guy. He can be the power drive guy. They tried to take Steph away from Golden State for a while, and Jimmy Butler took over. And as soon as they started drifting back over to Steph, or back away from Steph, once they started saying, okay, we can't double team him outside the three-point line, and Steph was knocking his shots down. That always helps. 6 of 13 from 3.
Jimmy Butler better than Klay Thompson?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Not better than KD, though.
Not better than KD is very fair. I'm good with that. I would say playoff Jimmy Butler is that's a different speed of dude, man.
I want to crack on Steph and say he can't win it on his own. They got to bring in another star, but most teams you can't win with one star. You just can't. No,
you can't. Part of the reason that over the last handful of years, guys have felt compelled, felt the need to team up, is because other guys have felt compelled and felt the need to team up. Like, you can't. Luka and LeBron are on the same team. They're 15-1 to win the Natty, right? Like, to win the world championship. You kind of have to. But Jimmy Buckets, and when the trade deadline came and went, and we were all kind of locked in, and understandably and justifiably so, we were all locked in on Luka to the Lakers. I said on this show, I said on BetMGM tonight, I said it on Bet for the Cycle. I think at the end of the year, the trade for Jimmy Butler might be the most impactful trade. I think the trade for Jimmy Butler to Golden State might be the biggest trade that nobody paid attention to. And nobody paid attention to it obviously because of all that was going on with Luka, and that's fair, but because it didn't feel like a sexy team up. Decker said on our show, he's like, how do you have enough basketballs to go around? And my answer was easy. Steph's an even more open shooter now. He's got even more room because if Jimmy Buckets has room to taxi to the bucket and then elevate, he's going to do that. And Jimmy Buckets is a guy who I think understands a role in the offense. It's just that when he was at Miami, his role in the offense was be the offense. It's not that anymore. Now it's get in where you fit in. And that's true as an assist guy and a buckets guy. I love this win for Golden State last night. Like, it was a 121-16 game that to me wasn't as close as the final score indicated, because in that final few minutes of play, Steph scored the last 10 points, and the Golden State offense was just in sync with Jimmy. I was like, this team's too good. They're not losing this game. And I honestly, like I said, I think they could very well be a team that genuinely upset somebody in the Western Conference playoffs. All right, we're going to talk a lot of NBA on the show today. Let me tell you what we got coming up. In about 35 minutes from right now, you may have heard it if you're one of those super early people. My dog, my guy, my amigo, Pat Boyle, got selected to be the overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. Patty B ends his show at 6 a.m. when they hand it on to us. And then he's going to stick around because Pat Boyle's going to join us here in about 25 minutes from right now. We'll catch up with him, get his thoughts on being the new morning show guy, the morning show. You know what, Lonzo? The overnight guy. His is absolutely a night shift.
There, you got there.
We're a morning show.
Yes.
He's an overnight show.
It's definitely an overnight show.
So we'll get Pat Boyle in here at 6:40.
So West Coast, it's 11 to 3 or something.
Yeah, but he is not on the West Coast.
I know what I'm saying is, so it's probably late night in California.
That's not unfair. 8 o'clock, water cooler cheat sheet. 8:40, Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. We'll do a little hockey post-mortem on the Bunnies. And then in the final hour of the show at 9:40, I said we were going to do it yesterday, and you guys were all over the Nico Ayamaliava story. Bonus Fight Club today. Just doing WrestleMania stuff.
Why not do it Thursday and Friday? But I mean, that's fine. There's never enough wrestling.
There's never enough wrestling. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
Great friends.
All right, guys, quick live read out of the gate. Brian, Kane, Todd, everybody, good morning. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo. I don't know what it was that Diesel and Cole had going on yesterday on Wire to Wire, our lovely afternoon show from 3 to 7 here on the Fan Upstate. But
lovely is a good word for them.
Lovely is a good. They're both lovely people.
Lovely human beings.
Yeah, they're both lovely people, inside and out. Texter said, I will immediately stop listening to and will discredit any man that uses the phrase silly goose. You a silly goose guy?
No. And I immediately know who said it. So, I mean, without listening. And it does not befit Mr. Double Bass's character.
Mr. Double Bass. I have found that silly goose triggers so many dudes, and now it's like something I'll toss in just to watch the reaction to. Like, it's not something I say in my day-to-day, but if we're on the show and you're aggravating me, I'll drop a silly goose on your head.
By the way, I know you're doing it sarcastically.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard you do it. And when you do it, it doesn't bother me because I've never heard you do it outside of the show.
I don't know that I have.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that person, whoever he may be, does it outside the show. We don't interact much because we're on different parts of the day, but I don't recall them ever doing that either, but maybe they did. Probably because all our interactions are angry.
Also, they had a conversation about goldfish, and I just want to say, delightful. Big goldfish guy. Love a goldfish.
Not live goldfish, but the bobon goldfish.
The snack that smiles back.
Okay. Yeah.
Goldfish. Big goldfish guy over here. We're talking NBA playoffs, NBA play-in, NBA play-ins, the playoffs and play-ins. NBA just play-in, is it singular?
I have noticed, like on ESPN and other channels, when they talk about it, they act like it's not the playoffs. It's still the playoffs. Yeah, they're playing to get in, but it's a playoff to get in. It's still the playoffs. Quit acting like it's something outside. It's not a regular season game that makes it a playoff game.
I actually thought about that last night. I was like, play in.
Not a regular season game, not a scheduled game. If you look at the schedule for each NBA team, it doesn't say right here is this game. No, that makes it a playoff game.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm just going technically. If you bust it down to the skeleton, it's.
I don't disagree, but also like last night was not an elimination game, right? Like it's not lose and go home. So to me, that
neither are any NBA playoff games.
Yeah, they are Fridays. There's 2 elimination games.
Yeah, but each team will have played twice, so there's no single elimination in the NBA playoffs.
That's also true. All right, either way, play in, playoff, play-ins, whatever you want to call them. Orlando moving on and Golden State moving on. I want to take you back to a conversation the Great One and I were having a couple of days ago, and actually got brought up again yesterday. We were having the talk about playing to the mindset, right? Like, or playing to the roster. And this is one of the things that I talked about in the last segment about Steve Kerr. I'm not a Steve Kerr simp. I do think Steve Kerr is very good at his job. And it's not when it comes to when I talk about doing his job, I'm not talking about Steve Kerr like drawing up the X's and the O's in a way that is, somehow more brilliant than anybody else. I think he's fine. To me, the job of Steve Kerr is to manage probably one of the most difficult rosters to manage. And I am talking about having one of the greatest to ever shoot the basketball in Steph Curry. But in being one of the greatest to ever shoot the basketball, while Steph can be a very good point guard, you have to play to the way that Steph's game works, because it does not work like an ordinary NBA player. And so you have to acknowledge that, and you have to draw up an offense that works around that. And then you have to draw up that offense around other guys. I got to draw it up around Draymond Green. Draymond Green is one of the most volatile dudes in the NBA. I've got to figure out how to keep him included, make him feel included, but make sure that he understands that, as we talked about earlier this week, If you're on the Golden State Warriors, and I include Draymond, to be honest with you, I include Jimmy Butler, anybody else on that team. And it's not, for the record, it's not a super deep team, right? Like it's not a super deep team, but their front five can run with anybody. You've got to have the ability to understand every one of these dudes, their mentalities, how they work together, and keep everybody cohesive. But you have some bit of help. There are not many players that could do this. Draymond Green was asked about the end of that game where Steph Curry scored the last 10 points of the game, including a couple of threes. Draymond lifted up a three in that game. And here is what Draymond said about the interaction he had with Steph after he lifted a three inside of a couple of minutes left to play.
Steph scored the final 10 points. And then not a shocking thing. You've seen it before. But was that special to see one more time?
It was even more special for me to see because when I shot that three in the corner, he very nicely told me that it wasn't time for me to shoot. He came over to me and said, "Hey, man, we got to get into a certain action that we call and we like to run." I was like, "All right, no problem." Like, that was a very nice way of telling me don't shoot right now. No problem. I got him the ball the next play, hit his three. Jimmy got him the ball the following play, hit the three.
Yeah, that's it.
I get what you're saying, but that's kind of annoying. Hey, listen. I know you've been here for a while, but that's not how we do things, okay? We don't do things that way. I'm the guy, okay? Not you. I know you made the shot. Good for you. That's a pat on the back. Good. But you usually don't make that shot. I'm the guy, not you, okay? Give me the ball, all right? You go over there. You're lesser than me. And you realize I'm the star. I'm the people they come to see. You need to conform a little bit better.
So a couple of reactions to that. First off, do you know who else is lesser than Steph Curry when it comes to shooting the three? Every other human being ever. Literally every other human being ever is lesser than Steph Curry when it comes to shooting the three.
So far, I'd like to believe that someone would come along
maybe so
do better.
But every human being.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
To right now.
But this is a guy that's been on the team with you since you started there, I believe. That's kind of messed up.
No, certainly
and
not.
also a guy who might just punch you in the face. But there's that too. Although if he punches Steph, he'll definitely be gone.
He'd be dusted. The list of guys.
So it's Steph.
Who is. That's who I was talking about. I was talking about Steph. Steph would get Thanos'd.
Laying on the court, chewing on his binky in the fetal. Yeah, for sure.
The list of human beings who are lesser than Steph Curry when it comes to shooting the three are every one of them that's ever shot a three. Just every other person who's ever shot a three is lesser than Steph Curry shooting the three. So there is, and I got to tell you, as much hell as I have given Draymond Green and will continue to give Draymond Green, I'm going to give him his flowers here. I'm going to give him his flowers, his round of applause for recognizing, yeah, if Steph says, I'm feeling it, give me the three, don't take one, and Draymond's response is, all right, you got it. That is a mature, logical decision from Draymond Green. Yes, I do not want Draymond Green, or for the record, anybody else ever born ever taking a three over Steph Curry. I don't, and you shouldn't either. That'd be a silly way to run an offense.
It's also a manhood thing. I'm telling you, when someone... he didn't emasculate him, but he made him put him in his place.
Yes.
But when you, as an NBA player, have been there and been on that team forever, you know what your place is. And
if you are shooting threes over Steph Curry, you don't know where your place is. You don't.
Just if he said it the way that he said it, it bothers me.
What Draymond said, Steph said to him was, we got a set we want to run. We got an action that we want to run. And it is, I think, fair to assume that the action they want to run ends with a Steph Curry three-pointer, right? Yes, that is the action I want to run. 100% it is. And so to tell Steph, hey, man, don't shoot that three. We got an action we want to run. This is the play set we want to get into, whether it's to win this game or to have it ready for the next series or whatever, and you're shooting a three is not part of that action, that's perfectly fine.
Hey, Rob, the music's playing. I would think that you would know when the music's playing, that means it's time to go to break, okay? It means you need to toss it over this way that we can take a break, okay? I think you would know that.
You are aware.
How's that make you feel, though?
I'm about to tell you. You are aware that if you did that, I would go, oh, damn, you're right. It is. Because that's your job as the point guard. You're the point guard. I'm the power forward. It is your job to facilitate the oop.
You notice he still ain't went to break.
I didn't say I'm always going to listen to the point guard. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Why didn't you just smack him, Draymond? It's what everyone wants to see.
Because then Draymond would never be a Warrior again.
I know, but everyone wants to see that.
No, it's just you.
Oh, no.
You are literally the only person I know that does not like Steph Curry.
I am not the only one. No.
Who else?
Not. Well, other members of my family that I may have influenced. Maybe.
You are the only person I know uninfluenced by you.
Everyone out there watching, do you all love Steph Curry?
Do any of you dislike Steph
Curry? Curry, that's
Let's
his
simplify.
name.
Do any of you dislike him?
Hey, is he calling us? We calling him? What's going on?
No, he is coming on the stream, I hope.
Oh, okay, because, I mean...
Yeah.
No, you're not supposed to say anything about Steph Curry in this area. He annoys me. What can I say? Threw Binky into the crowd. Someone had to deal with that spit when it smacked him upside the head. That's just not, And he can't say oops. So, I mean, because he can hit a shot from the other side of the court. So that means if he throws a binky into the crowd, he was aiming for somebody. I'm just saying. I didn't say he couldn't shoot. I agree with Rob. Right now, he is the best shooter of all time. He still annoys me. Is there some grudge there? For sure, with me and Golden State, for sure. But still. There are some people, they just walk in the room, you don't like them automatically. This has nothing to do with that. It's just his actions over the years have bothered me. It's not a hater of greatness because I love greatness. Greatness is awesome. Greatness is great.
Logging in. He'll be on in 2 or 3 minutes.
As I just pointed out, and I don't know why I didn't think about this before, when he threw his binky into the crowd, he don't miss. So he was aiming at someone, and he hit someone, and someone got smacked with his spit, and you're okay with that.
I think he overreacted, but
he don't miss when he takes a shot.
Well, I don't think he's considered
that lady in the fourth row, like looked at him wrong or something, and he just nailed her in the forehead.
I don't think he's considered the world's greatest binky thrower.
Who is?
I have no idea.
Him.
I'm sure there's
because you can't think of anybody else.
I can't think of anybody else I've seen throw a binky. Joining us in just a mere moment from now, Pat Boyle going to join us from the Infinity Sports Network. Super pumped up for my guy. Just got named the new overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. Patty B has been at it for a while. I've had the pleasure and the privilege of sharing the airwaves with Pat over the years on the Infinity Sports Network, on the BetMGM network. He has joined us on this show in years gone by, and I gotta tell you, we're kind of in the midst of a run here on the show. Great one, because Mark Bonetti, or as he was called the other day, did you see the John Gruden video? Did I show you that, great one? Did I show you the John Gruden video?
Talked about it on the air.
We did, but did I show it to you? Mark Bonetti sent John Gruden a bag, or a box, I guess, of Greenville Swamp Rabbits gear. And John Gruden did a whole video where he put it all on, put on the sweater, put on the bucket cap, put on everything, and talked about how he's not just a hockey fan, but now he's a Swamp Rabbits fan. Well, in that video, John Gruden at one point called Mark Bonetti Mark Bugatti, and that's his name now. So that's just what we're referring to him. So I'll have Mark Bugatti on the show coming up at 8:40 to talk hockey and put a postmortem on the Bunny season. But Benner, as he has been called up until that John Gruden video, Benner got a call up last week to go out to California and call the final couple of games of the Ontario Reign. That is the minor league team of the LA Kings that is one step below them, AHL level, like right below.
That's cool.
It is very cool. Benner got flown out to California to go call those games. The Rob Brown bump is real. Got the pleasure.
Oh no, I see what you're doing now. Wow. You're gonna do that.
I got the pleasure a couple of, about a year and a half ago, for the first time, of sharing the airwaves with a young man by the name of Pat Boyle. We did so on the BetMGM network. Patty B has joined us on this show a couple of times, and wango bango, just like that, my guy is now the overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. More importantly, now officially a full-time employee of Odyssey. My guy, Pat Boyle, has no audio coming back to him. That's terrible timing. Hang on one second, Pat. We're gonna get you worked out here. There's a way to get this fixed. I don't know if it's on your end or if it's on mine. Let me know if and when you get some audio.
You have to remind me how to do that, because they probably did that thing over here.
Oh yeah, go up to the
I think I got you guys now. Can you hear me?
Ladies and gentlemen,
the guys in the afternoon, they sabotage.
they screw up
sometimes.
everything.
They
Man.
do.
They screw up everything. It's those people who work late, not like us people who work when it's still dark outside, as Pat Boyle does now, the new overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. My man makes his debut on the Rob Brown Show a handful of months ago, and wango bango now, he's got his own nationally syndicated, way too damn early in the morning, or way too damn late at night, depending on how Pat Boyle's going to handle the new sleep schedule. Have we figured that out, Patty B?
We're on our way to figuring it out, Rob, and it's a pleasure to be back on the Rob Show. It's a pleasure to be back on the beautiful 97.7 Fan, the Upstate in the Carolinas. I cannot wait to chop it up with you, brother, and I appreciate all the kind words that you probably said about me before I could hear you.
Oh, they were very kind words. I took credit for your rise to stardom, partially. But then also said that you're an amazing broadcaster, an amazing dude. I've had the pleasure of working with you for a year and a half plus now, and I could not be more proud of and happy for you, buddy. Well done. And the sad thing for you is now, I know you got nothing going from 6 to 7 in the morning, so you just got to hop on the show like once a week from now on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, you asked if I had the sleep schedule down. I think for me, it'll be right around 7 a.m., get home, get a little protein in my belly, get a little tea to make sure that the voice works properly when I wake up. I never used to be a guy that drank tea. I used to think that was soft and pathetic, but you got to take care of the pipes, man. So I think the sleep schedule is going to be from about 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. I think a solid 7 hours. My brain will survive, and I probably will get dementia at some point in my life from the upside down sleep schedule. But yeah, I leave the station in New York City, get back here right around this time. So I guess I can't say no to you because you know exactly where I am.
Yeah, I know you've got no reason to. You can't, and it's 6:45 in the morning. You can't be like, sorry, but got a doctor's appointment. Got a dentist appointment. Like, you can't. I know that ain't the case. So you have just decided you're going to buy into hashtag Team Insomnia, or I guess I should say Team Nocturnal.
Yeah, no, I'm a vampire now, brother. So I am up when the sun is down. I am asleep when the sun is up. And that is life. Whatever we can do to pay those bills, baby. I know you know how it works.
I do. Painfully, I'm here. My man, Pat Boyle, the new overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. Super proud of my guy. Super happy for him. Joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Patty B, for the folks that are going to be here in the Upstate, because obviously a lot of folks going to transition from listening to your show to listening to mine at 6 a.m., introduce yourself to the people here in lovely Greenville, South Carolina, pal, because they're going to get a hell of a lot more of you moving on.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. So I am from New Jersey, and, again, I do shows locally from where I'm from, which is WFAN in New York, and then have been doing shows for the Infinity Sports Network, which is our national network on Odyssey, for the last couple of years. And, 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern every single Friday, Monday through Friday. I'm going to bring it. You're going to get passionate, strong opinions. You're going to get genuine opinions. You might agree with a lot of stuff. You might disagree with a lot of stuff, but you know that you're going to get my best every single night. I'm going to unload the clip and give you a lot of NFL talk, which a lot of Carolina Panthers talk, and more on that in a second, Rob. Obviously, the next 2 months is going to be a lot of NBA playoffs, college football in the fall and year-round as well, a lot of baseball throughout the summer, but you're going to get humor. You're going to get my best attempts at some jokes, which some will land, many will not. But either way, I will try to have fun and keep you entertained every single night, whether you're up late, whether you're up early, whether you can't sleep, anywhere in between. You're going to get a passionate show every single day.
I love to hear it. Real quick, so that I can defend the folks here in the Upstate. You're not going to be one of these big city fellers that's going to make us little old country fellers just listen to New York City exclusive sports talk, right, Pat Boyle?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do my best to talk anything but New York sports, because the folks that are in New York want to listen to WFAN. The folks that are not New York don't want to listen to New York sports. So, no, I take my job seriously. I'm not just going to go on there and recycle a bunch of takes that I would have when I'm hosting locally. And for example, I think the great folks in the Carolinas and the folks that listen to the Fan Upstate would appreciate that one of my strongest NFL takes of this upcoming season is that Bryce Young is going to have a breakout year. He's going to build upon the success that he had in the second half of last year, and the Panthers win the NFC South this year. How do you like them apples? That's
Pat Boyle knows ball. Pat Boyle knows ball. I tried to tell the people. I've been saying it for 3 months. I got a bet on the Panthers to win the NFC South, and I got people like Lonzo over here telling me I'm crazy because BY can't get it done.
Listen, your love and affection for the little guy is it's a little unnerving. That's all. I mean, everyone's weirded out by it. It doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to play. He does. He has one of the most expensive offensive lines I saw the other day. So maybe they'll actually protect him. He can't see over it, but we'll see.
I like that you guys are calling him the little guy. That is vicious.
Him, not me. Not me. Him. Calls him too short all the time. It's infuriating, Pat Boyle. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wanted to run him out of town just as much as everybody else did, after the first 2 games of the season where he literally couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. But something happened. I don't know if he sold his soul to the devil. I don't know if he started taking enhancement pills or what Bryce Young. Maybe he changed his diet. Maybe he started the Tom Brady diet. He just started eating avocado ice cream and no red meat. But something happened that when you had that car accident with Andy Dalton, and again, luckily nobody got hurt in, but the car accident that gave him a thumb injury that then forced Bryce Young back onto the field, that might be the tipping point in his entire career. You could be looking back in 10 years from now. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but maybe 10 years from now where you've got 3 division titles and you've got a couple of playoff wins under your belt and you're a playoff contender year in and year out. And you're saying, man, remember when we were ready to call Bryce Young's career 1 year and 2 games into it, which was rightfully the right opinion to have. But now something has changed, and he went toe-to-toe with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. He went toe-to-toe with the Buccaneers. He went toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. My man Bryce Young found something last year, and I am stoked about how this offensive line is going to protect him. I'm stoked about that he's got Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker to throw to once again this year, on top of whoever Carolina adds in the draft. So this NFC South is wide open every year. I think the Saints are going to stink. I think the Buccaneers are due for regression. I think Michael Penix is a dog, but I think the Falcons defense has still a lot left to do to improve, and they didn't make a whole lot of improvements. That beautiful butterfly is out there to go and grab it, and I think Bryce Young grabs his little guy net, and he takes that NFC South and brings it home.
Bryce Young, you beautiful butterfly, you.
Go ahead and hug yourself. You look like you're about ready to do that.
Cause this is a nationally syndicated sports talk radio show host. He clearly knows what he's talking about.
I'm not going to discount that, but he doesn't share the love. I don't believe that you do for one Bryce Young.
What, Patty B? What's the strategy for the Panther draft? Mine has been trade back. There's going to be some guys at that 8 spot you could pick up, but I think this is a probably underappreciated class in terms of depth at the edge rusher. I think when it comes to DBs, there's a couple of guys that are available up towards the front of the first round, and then the rest are probably mid to later in the first round as the next crop of guys if you're not going to reach there. To me, Carolina could probably trade back depending on who falls and who's available and all that, especially if Shedeur Sanders falls all the way down to 8, as some people think they will. I'm a big trade back and collect a bunch of pieces, go with the Belichickian method of just stockpile, and then unleash hell later on down the line. Where do you fall on the Panthers in this draft?
Well, I just want to ask you a question. If Shedeur Sanders does fall to 9, perhaps that makes the viability of trading back a real thing, because we know the Saints now with Derek Carr's 2025 season totally up in the air here. It feels like unless the Saints want to run it back with South Carolina man Spencer Rattler, who I think doesn't have much of a future in the NFL. But again, say that about Bryce Young after one season last year. So who knows? Maybe the jury's still out on good old Spencer Rattler in New Orleans. But assuming that they do want to draft Shedeur Sanders, if he is there at 9, I guess then that makes sense to prevent or to entice other teams to jump New Orleans and get Shedeur at the 8 pick. Yes, but I am wholeheartedly of the belief that Shedeur Sanders goes to the New York Giants at 3. So if Cam Ward is off the board at 1 and Shedeur Sanders is off the board at 3, who is necessarily dying to then trade up to 8 with the Carolina Panthers? Do you get my drift? I just don't know if trading back, which I think is a good option in a vacuum, is that something that is necessarily 100% guarantee?
Not necessarily. Again, I think it is going to be a lot of chips got to fall where chips going to fall in order to make it valuable. I think it's going to depend on, does Shedeur, as you mentioned, does Shedeur come off the board and for the record, I got a bet on him at Pat Boyle, Shedeur Sanders. I got a bet on him at, I think, 50-1 for Cleveland to take him, and then 5-1 for the Giants to take him at 3. One of those two teams has taken that cat off the board. And what that does to me is push everybody else back a spot. Maybe there is somebody sitting there at 8 that makes that a value pick for the Carolina Panthers to move out of.
Yeah, it is. It's a possibility, but let's say they don't trade back, right? Let's say they do pick at 8. I saw a pass rush last year that, yes, was decimated with injuries, but I saw Carolina Panthers defense that was about as bad as you could be. I think if you gave me the rock and gave me an open hole, I probably could have ran for 4 yards of pop against the Panthers last year, or that I could have made some things happen in the secondary against that defense. Maybe not the secondary, but maybe across the middle against the linebacker crew that couldn't really cover much. So I want to beef up the pass rush, right? I see Jalen Walker from Georgia. I'm looking to jump on him at 8. I see Michael Williams from Georgia. Give me one of the Bulldogs who I know have had a ton of success, and they churn out NFL talent like it's going out of style on the defensive side. So I'm beefing up that pass rush if I'm the Panthers here in the draft this year.
Patty B, my guy, Pat Boyle. He is your new overnight host. You're going to hear him from 2 to 6 a.m. on the Infinity Sports Network. That is the lead-in show to this show on this station. My dude, I am stoked for you. I'm proud of you, buddy. The hard work, the grind is paid off. Well done. And thanks for giving me some free prep work when I drive in the mornings to do the show.
You got it, brother. I'm going to start making you pay for that, though. Royalties. I want royalties, especially when we're working together on the sports betting network for BetMGM Network. But, brother, appreciate the time as always, man. Always a blast, and you got me anytime you want me.
Done and done. Pat Boyle, you icon, you legend. Talk to you later, brother. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, your new overnight host, Pat Boyle. He's on 2 to 6 a.m. on the Fan Upstate and on the Odyssey Infinity Sports Network. You know who else is on Odyssey and technically the Infinity Sports Network? Lonzo, when he does the Sports Flash.
Technically, yes, technically. The 3-game losing streak came to an end for the Gamecocks baseball team last night with a 4-0 win over the Citadel. Jackson Susi got to start throwing 3.1 innings and allowing no runs on 3 hits. Gamecocks haven't won an SEC game since April 4th and open a 3-game set against Ole Miss tomorrow. So hopefully they can, win. The Atlanta Braves dropped another game last night, a 6-3 loss to the Blue Jays. Spencer Schwellenbach was tagged with the loss, giving up 6 hits and all 6 earned runs in 4.2 innings. Atlanta's offense did record 8 hits, including home runs from Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, and Austin Riley, but had 0 at-bats with runners in scoring position. The Orlando Magic punched their ticket to the NBA playoffs with a 120-95 win over Atlanta last night. Wendell Carter Jr. had 19, Paulo Banchero had 17, and Franz Wagner had 13 with 13 assists.
Dealing with chronic joint pain, doing things not as much fun, right? Well, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics right here in Greenville, they want to get you the relief that you need. They have already treated tens of thousands of patients around the country with regenerative treatments that help calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, back, wherever. And with QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you your life back without surgery, without drugs, and without downtime. Everybody wants to live a healthier life and break free of those medications. That's the whole mission of QC Kinetics. So if you're wondering, am I a candidate? No problem. The consultation is totally free, and that's able to help you get back to life. So go on and find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without that joint pain. The best time to get started is right now. Call them 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Asheville. 864-448-3772. It's QC Kinetics. Join us at Nova Square for Piedmont Natural Gas.
I gotta get a tip from him.
Downey Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes. Downey Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention, which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century...
Get it, Brian. I forgot to check the weather this morning. Walked out without a jacket. It was like, oh.
Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it
unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7
Hip broke. Left the other half in there. They just announced. Well, they announced last week that SEC meetings are in Atlanta this year.
Ooh.
So I just sent bosses saying I'll go to Atlanta. All right, I got your email, Brian. I'm gonna look at your mock after the show. Mine'll be ready tomorrow. I did not get it done last night because basketball and Baldur's Gate.
So when you're playing with just one other person, who chooses the companions? The other two?
It is so whoever has the first interaction with the person becomes in control of that person, right? But then you both have to confirm your decisions on who stays and who comes with you.
So I'm also curious about the romance scenes. We'll just say that. Who gets those? Do both of the people get them?
We have not gotten to that point where we're having any other action because we've only gotten through like the first couple of interactions.
Well, if you do things right, Lazelle's ready to go pretty quick. So, I mean.
And it's interesting because, like, the buddy's playing the angry wants to hit everything with an axe barbarian.
That's the guy she's going to
And I'm playing the super good guy, wood elf druid, who I've affectionately named John Trina.
Good job.
I was very proud of that one. Here we go. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts now, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fan upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. That is the number to the Hub City Spartanburger text line, 844-326-3663. That is also the number to call in and be a part of the radio broadcast, 844-326-3663. Oh, I thought you were going to.
Oh no!
This usually means there's some sort of nefarious plan coming.
No. I almost interrupted.
Lonzo was quite literally twiddling thumbs.
I almost interrupted, and this was me telling myself, "Don't do that." You know why? So I didn't want to do that. I was just going to say thanks to Pat Boyle for coming on, and he's not what I expected because I had never looked up to see what he looked like.
Oh! You mean in terms of Pat Boyle,
the youth. I expected.
Yeah.
I definitely expected the youth.
Pat's an interest. Pat and Decker are very much the same in that if you listen to them, they're very like standard, stereotypical New York, New Jersey, gruff, short, direct, to the point, blunt, bleep your feelings.
He didn't mean short in stature.
No.
Stature, rather. I don't know about
Not like Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Right. They're very like short in their words. They're blunt. They're to the point. They're not super concerned about if what they say hurts your feelings or not. However, I will also say about both of them, they are two of the most genuine, bend over backwards to help out the people they work with people that I have ever worked with. Pat Boyle has never said no when I've asked him to come on this show. He has had me on every one of his shows. In fact, we were texting during the break there, and because I told him, like, hey, man, I know you're off at 6. You're jumping on my show once a week to talk sports with me. He's like, absolutely no problem. He goes, you do understand the trade is I'm going to be calling you to come on my show, and that might be occasionally at like 3 or 4 in the morning. I was like, honestly, the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock hours work great. I'm already up. But yes, I will get out of bed for Pat Boyle and go outside at bleep you o'clock in the morning if that's when you want me, because Pat's just a genuinely good dude.
Well, part of it, you're already here in the office, but you won't go on stream because you'd have to come over to my side because you don't want them to see all my.
No, I mean, I could come in here and do it, but it's just.
That's fine.
It's a lot. Just call me Pat. I don't have my makeup on that early in the morning. I don't have my face on yet. as the expression goes.
When does that exactly happen?
Very rarely. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:03 in the morning. You've got less than 57 minutes until you've got to get yo behind into the office. And once you get into the office, we all know the game plan. The game plan is to do like 7 to 9 minutes of mediocre work and then skip on down to the other end of the hallway, get down to the break room, turn on the coffee machine, or grab that Diet Mountain Dew out of the vending machine, or maybe you just go old school and pop yourself a glass of water out of the water cooler so that you can talk sports with the coworkers. And if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you got to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "Burn it down! Burn it down!" First bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Volume level is important.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's radio.
Yeah.
You
you should turn things up if you want people to hear it.
Yeah, it's a minor detail, right? Like a minor detail. It's your water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office, because this is what you will be talking about. Let us begin with item numero uno. 120-95, the Orlando Magic are on their way to the NBA playoffs officially. They knock off the Atlanta Hawks last night. You had 19 out of Wendell Carter Jr., 17 out of Paolo Banchero. You had 13 and 13 boards out of Franz Wagner, and 26 off the bench for Cole Anthony, who was plus 32 in the plus-minus department during his time on the court. This game actually might have been a little bit closer, but Atlanta star Trae Young got ejected from this game after 40 minutes when he, I'm going to say, threw a chest pass to the referee. He was frustrated to some degree. He was frustrated to some degree in that there were some calls going not Atlanta's way. And I don't think it was a poorly officiated game. I don't think it was a maliciously officiated game. I don't think it was a game that was being officiated in order to protect Atlanta or push Atlanta through or anything like that. I think they had a run of bad calls, and it got to Trae Young. He chucked the ball over to the ref a little more aggressively than it needed to be done. And Trae Young took the hook, got bounced, and was out. It was all Orlando after that. They scored 41 to Atlanta's 22 in the fourth quarter of play that allowed them to run away with it. That was not the only game that took place last night in the play-in tournament. The Golden State Warriors have claimed a playoff spot now. 121-116 winners over the Memphis Grizzlies last night. Steph Curry had 37. Welcome back, playoff Jimmy. Jimmy Buckets had 38 on 12 of 20 from the floor and 2 of 4 from behind the arc. Also had 7 boards and 6 assists in that one. Draymond Green would end the night with 4 points on 1 of 5 from the floor. Did have 10 assists in this game, and a lot of that came late in the game when Draymond got told by Steph, hey, don't shoot anymore. You give the ball to me. Well, he did, and Steph made the most of it. The Golden State Warriors are moving on. We are now set up this evening for 2 more games. These are your 9-10 matchups. The loser of this game is eliminated. The winner of this game in the East will move on to take on Orlando. The winner of tonight's Western Conference game will move on to take on the loser of the Golden State-Memphis game, the Grizz, from last night. Your games tonight, Miami is at Chicago. That game tips at 7:30 p.m. Dallas is at Sacramento. That game will tip at 10 p.m. The winner of Miami-Chicago takes on Atlanta on Friday at 7. The winner of Dallas-Sacramento takes on Memphis on Friday at 9:30 p.m. We will then have our NBA playoff begin in earnest on Saturday. 1, Milwaukee and Indiana. 3:30, Clippers at Nuggets. 6 o'clock, Detroit at the Knicks. And then at 8:30, Minnesota, LA. Your play-in tournament winners. One of them will take the Western Conference winner will take on Oklahoma City on Sunday. The other will take on Cleveland, the 2 1 seeds on Sunday. We will obviously be diving in and covering these events as they move on. Let's get to item number 2. Let's talk some baseball here for just a minute. Let's head on over to the Hub City. Let's head on over and check in with our friends, the Hub City Spartanburgers. Opening night at Fifth Third Park last night. Almost 5,000 fans in attendance for the very first Hub City Spartanburgers game at Fifth Third Park. And they got the dub. The Spartanburgers took down Bowling Green 5-3 to secure the first home win in franchise history. Every run of the game was scored in the first 3 innings. Dylan Dreiling and catcher Malcolm Moore, both of them had homers, the first 2 home runs in new Spartanburgers history. It was Moore's 2-run shot that put the Burgers on top for the night. Hub City right-hander Leandro Lopez made it through 2 1/3 tag for 3 early Bowling Green runs, but the Burger bullpen picked up the slack for their starter. Joey Danielson was credited with the win. Josh Malaris and Seth Clark went 6 2/3 combined scoreless frames to shut down the Bowling Green Hot Rods. After Bowling Green struck in the top of the first, the Burgers bounced back in the bottom half. Dreiling clubbed an inside pitch from TJ Nichols into the right field bullpen for the Spartanburgers' first ever dong. The next batter, Anthony Gutierrez, singled, stole second, stole third, then came around to score as the throw from Bowling Green's catcher sailed into left field. After the first, Hub City trailed 3-2, and then it was just all Burgers after that. 4,467 fans in attendance for their inaugural game. The Burgers are back in action today. 5:30 gates, a 6:35 first pitch as Josh Trentado and Hot Rod's righty Marcus Johnson are the scheduled starters for game 2 of this series in the Berg. Congrats to the Burgers last night for getting their first home win in franchise history. That's got to feel real good. Let's go to item number 3. Earlier this week, I'm asking this as a question. Earlier this week, the Great One and I had a meeting with the big boss down the hallway. And in that meeting, we were discussing different ways that we approach and attack the show. We were talking about, all right, how do you decide what's going to get coverage and what's not, and how much coverage is it going to get and what's not, and blah, blah, blah. And my answer has always been, well, I skip around to radio stations around the country to find out what the national conversations are. And then I stay up to date and in touch with the local teams. So I'm making sure that we've got coverage of the Rabbits, coverage of the Triumph, coverage of the Drive, coverage of the Spartanburgers. Make sure we've got coverage of Clemson and South Carolina, Furman and Wofford, et cetera, et cetera. And then basically, as I do the show, I pay attention to what you guys are reacting to, what you guys are responding to, how you guys are responding to these things. He said that one of the things that they've been able to do, Odyssey, is to track which topics get the most interaction in terms of spikes in listenership from you, spikes in reaction on the website, clicks on different news stories, etc. And he said that Major League Baseball is inside the top 8 topics that you guys respond to, but about 80% of that is Atlanta Braves talk. That this is just purely Braves country. And I do agree with that. I think that is accurate. But I wonder, sincerely wonder, and I will ask this question for you all to answer. How much non-Braves baseball should I include in the show? How much non-Braves MLB should I get in? And the reason I ask is because, and I've done the research on this, the Braves aren't good. The Braves aren't good. And we pay attention to winners around her. And by around her, I mean across America. The Braves aren't winners. They're 5-12 after a 6-3 decision an L to Toronto last night. Going to give you the stats, the box on that here in a minute. But genuine question, how much non-Atlanta Braves baseball do we pay attention to? I have talked about this for a while. This area, obviously, is an area that is about 50% native, 50% transplant, and growing. And so I know that there are fans of Major League Baseball teams from around America that all live here, probably more so some than others. But I think there are fans of every team. So I dabble in the baseball. But outside of Braves ball, how much MLB baseball is appropriate? How much MLB baseball is acceptable to you? That's my question. 6-3, the Blue Jays get one back from the Braves. The Braves won the opener of a 3-game set. Toronto able to get one back last night. Spencer Schwellenbach got tagged with the L, went 4.2, gave up 6 hits, 6 runs, all earned, walked 2, K'd just 3 on 86 pitches last night. The Braves offense did get 8 hits. The problem was they were too spread out. You had a home run in the 6th inning from Matty Ice Baby Olson. You had a home run in the 9th inning from Ozzie Albies. And you had a home run in the 1st inning for Austin Riley. So 3 of your hits were dingers. You had 5 other hits. The problem is, as I mentioned, they were all spread out. Riley's dinger was his only hit. Olson's dinger was his only hit. Ozzie's dinger was his only hit last night. Then you had Baldwin had a couple, nobody behind him. Next 2 batters combined 0 for 6. De La Cruz, as a pinch hitter, had 1 hit. Nick Allen had a hit. It was earlier in the game, not right behind him. 2 hits out of Riley. I apologize. 2 hits out of Austin Riley. The home run was 1. Matt Olson had 1 hit. It was a dinger. The Braves, again, will no longer win just by playing big-time ball. The Braves will not win by being a home run hitting ball club anymore. They have got to put guys on the bags. As we have seen, and I pointed out during that series against Philly, a series that Atlanta won, this isn't that complicated. The Braves can't hit the curveball. The Braves can't hit the curveball. And so when there aren't runners on the bag, pitchers don't have to lean on the heat. They can start throwing everything breaking. And for whatever reason, the Braves can't hit the breaking ball right now. So as long as guys aren't getting on the bags, as long as pitchers continue to throw the Braves breaking balls at like a 60% clip, it's just going to be this endless cycle for Atlanta. And I don't know how you break out of it. I mean, hitting 3 home runs in a game isn't enough to break out of it. I don't know what is at this point. The Braves dropped 6-3 to Toronto last night. They are now 5-12 on the season. They have one more today. This is an early game. 1:07 first pitch against the Toronto Blue Jays. Spencer Strider on the bump today. Here's my question. Is it going to matter? Is it going to matter? If the Atlanta Braves are going to get hit 3 home runs and those are the only runs they score, does it matter if Spencer Strider is back? I don't know. I'm going to be watching this game with a bated breath. Because if Spencer Strider comes in and works 5-6 shutout innings, but the Braves can't touch the plate either, they're screwed. They're screwed. Like, I know I come in here and it's impending doom for the Braves every day, but if you watched that game last night, you know why. You get it. You understand. All right, let's take a break. We got a bunch of stuff we need to get into when we come back. I don't know how long we're going to cover this Nico Iamaleava story, but I do know folks are still weighing in on this Nico Iamaleava story. Booger McFarland got in on the action yesterday. I got a clip I'm going to play you from him. Dusty Dvorak got in on it yesterday. Got a clip I'm going to play from him, and we'll react to both when we come back on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Excuse me just a second, guys. We will be right back. Yes, I've covered the story enough. No, I knew his name last year. It's just one of those names that, like, sometimes your welcome to radio. Sometimes your mouth gets ahead of your brain a little bit, and if you do that, I mean, even after covering DJ Uyunglele for 2 years, there were still times where the mouth arrives at the name before the brain does. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Jacob texted the show, said, Rob, I need Red Sox baseball on the list. I started liking the Red Sox as a kid when I realized the Drive were their affiliates. Jaybird from Duncan texted the show, said, Rob, as a Yankees fan, I am loving this year's Braves coverage. LOL. See, this is why nobody likes you, Yankees fans. This is why nobody likes you. Tiger Pal Rachel texts the show. She said, Rob, you can talk about the Yankees all day, and no, I am not a transplant. I grew up here. So then, Tiger Pal Rachel, how did thou become a Yankees fan? But that sounded way too formal. How did you become a Yankees fan then?
Wow, you were wrong right away. I mean, the very next text corrected you when you said no one likes the Yankees.
Yeah, and then Tiger Pal Rachel's like, I do, jerk. I do, jerk.
If I were to pick a baseball team to pull for, first it would be the Cincinnati Reds. Second, it would be the New York Yankees.
All right, I'm going to get to the Booger McFarland take here in a second. But there's a cat on Twitter just some dude. His name is Ken Carmen. And he put out this tweet, Lonzo. I really like this, honestly. I really like this. He put up a tweet that says, if I took a quarterback prospect to dinner, I'd call ahead and make sure the restaurant gets his order wrong. I want to see if he sends it back and how he treats the staff when he sends it back. Can I tell you how much I actually really love that galaxy brain level scouting?
That's deception.
I love it.
That's just that's trying to set someone up.
Mm-hmm.
I think your character reveals yourself no matter what. I mean, I don't think you need to enhance it by putting them in certain situations that they're unaware they're going to be in.
Have you never hired somebody that was super fantastic, awesome in the interview, and then they show up and like 2 weeks in, you're like, that's not you at all. I've been shenanigans because I have.
Yeah, we've had a bad run lately, so
yeah,
that's a sore spot.
Yeah, it is a sore spot. At the end of the day, when a kid, and when I say kid, I should really say anyone, when anyone is being interviewed, and the scouting combine is an interview. These workouts like Shador did with the Giants yesterday, it's an interview. The pre-draft meetings, they're all job interviews. And as much as we love us some behind-the-scene footage of questions and answers from these meetings coming out, when we get hilarious answers like the one cat who was asked, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? And his answer was a bigger
What'd you forget you had a thing?
Well, if I say a bigger, that sounds vulgar. But if I say a bigger,
it still sounds,
it's thinly veiled.
It still sounds, because you're putting a lot of bass in your.
You might think he meant bigger biceps, bigger brain.
You would just say those.
You would think those things and nothing else. I love those videos, but the reason those videos are popular is because they are rare. Like any other job interview, when a cat knows it is a job interview, they're going to give you their best foot forward. They're going to give you their best face. They're going to give you what they think you want to hear.
But that's not taking them to a restaurant and purposefully setting them up. That's a totally different thing.
I agree. That's why I love it. I'll tell you why. Wow. Rob Brown gives.
I think all relationships should be based on honesty and not deception. But that's just me. I just I
don't. I think they should be based on. I think they. Let me finish.
Be careful.
Let me finish. I think they should be based on acknowledgement of the reality of the character and care and compassion of the relationship. And I'm not just talking about romantic, I'm talking about professional as well. I want to know who you are.
Is that the 3 C's? I lost count.
Yeah, we're at 6 C's now. I will tell you this. I put a lot of stock, and I mean this, Rob Brown, the person, I put a lot of stock into how someone treats service workers. I really do, because I was one. I was a bartender. I was a waiter. I worked in the service industry for a long time. And I can tell you that there's a spectrum of how people treat service staff. There are people who put the lean on service, as in, you are my slave. You are here at my beck and call to perform any and every task, no matter how many demeaning that I assign to you. And then,
well, if you are being respectful to them, their job is to serve you.
I do not disagree. The problem is if you are being respectful to them part.
What if they're not being respectful to you?
As the server?
What if the server comes out and just a straight up punk?
Oh, well, that's on you.
No,
I mean, that's on them.
Okay, all right.
But I want you to genuinely think about this. What percentage of interactions in your life has that been true? I'd be willing to bet it's a single-digit percentage, honestly, because these people aren't dumb. Again,
I've had some.
I'm not saying you haven't had some.
Yeah.
I'm saying what percentage of them were bad interactions because of the service member.
That's $1 off the tip. That's another $1.
That's different. You not thinking the service is good is different than that guy sucks or that girl sucks.
Oh no,
there's a difference.
No, because even if they suck, I think they're just having a bad day.
That's fair.
So I don't want to not give them anything, but I'm definitely giving them less.
The point here to me though is, and I'm not, let me clarify and start it with this. I am not saying this about.
By the way, if you pay with cash, you don't get that scam thing where they go ahead and factor the tip in because maybe you don't want to give that much. When you pay with your debit card, a lot of places will go ahead and factor in the tip and tell you, here's your suggested tip, here's this.
Suggested tip.
And some factor the tip in. And no, you pay with cash, then you decide how much you get.
No, they don't, because you can't legally factor a tip in. So they may give you the old button that says 15, 20, 25. I've noticed a lot of restaurants now, their default buttons are 20, 25, 30%. And I'm like, I was going to give you 20 anyway, but now out of principle, I might walk it back to 15. We'll see. But the point to me is how you treat a service staff member, to me, reveals a lot about your character. And I'm not even talking about like if you are set up. I'm just talking about in general. I went on a date with a young lady a very long time ago. But as a longtime service staff guy, I wanted a date with a young lady a long time ago, and we went to a bar. We went to a music bar, as a matter of fact, and she treated the bartender like crap. So she did the snapping at the guy thing. Oh, I've never lost interest in somebody so much in my life.
Well,
quickly.
How else do you get the attention of the bartender?
You look at them until you have been acknowledged, and then you wait patiently like everybody else in the bar.
Listen, I don't know. I don't drink. I've never really sat at a bar for that sort of thing. So, I mean, I've ate at a bar before because it was an open chair. But I've never. So if it's a full bar, how do you get the attention?
You look at them.
What if they never look at you?
Then that's bad service. But as a bartender, I am going to tell you, that's, again, less than 10% of bartenders don't know where everyone at their bar is in their eating journey at any given moment.
I think this whole thing can go both ways. If you are a prospective player and you're set up that way, you can decide, you know what? Don't draft me. Don't bring me in here. You lied. You set me up.
Two-way street.
I don't want to work for a deceptive
let me ask
company.
you this. When a quarterback sits down at his NFL draft combine meetings and they're going through and they're asking him the questions, all that, if the team asks him a trick question in order to see how he responds under pressure.
Totally different situation. He knows that that's coming. When you go out to break bread with someone,
that's
you
the point.
expect.
Wait. But that's exactly the point. If you know it's coming, you are prepared. I don't want to know how you prepare when you know trick questions are coming. I want to see who the hell you are. I want to know exactly who you are.
It's deceptive, and I would, if I had the opportunity and that kind of thing happened to me, I would say I don't want to work for you.
I mean, cool.
Because that's ridiculous. It's deceptive. It's underhanded. And what you're doing is you're showing your character. You're showing that you're not going to be honest with the prospective employee by trying to trick them into showing who they are. You're showing who you are, and you are dishonest, and you don't believe in people, and maybe you should find a different kind of job.
I'll tell you who I am. I'm a guy as an NFL GM who might have one chance to get this right. One chance to get it right. And if I need to play a head game with a quarterback, a guy who leads a team and has head games played with him all the time, right? Because if he goes out there and a team lines up in a cover 3 and it's a false look and they blitz 2 off the edge, he can't go, whoa, time out. You guys said cover 3. This is deceptive. He has to go, oh, they were deceiving me. How am I going to handle this situation? I need to know how a guy is going to react when he knows the eyeballs are on him and bad things do happen. I actually love this because it's going to give me 2 things. Number 1, it's going to show me how a guy is going to act when things aren't as expected. And I want somebody who is calm, cool, collected. It is also going to show, especially if I'm a place like a New York, where I know my man's going to be under the microscope literally every minute of literally every day. I want to know I don't have somebody that's going to go into the Big Apple, have a bad night, and implode on himself and make the organization look bad.
This is akin to a bad combine question. And when it gets out in the public that a team did that, they will get destroyed in the public and public opinion because it's a horrible way to do business. And that the guy who exited, he's wrong. He's a bad person. And you just can't do that to people. That's just wrong.
The hell I can't.
You shouldn't.
The hell I can't.
You shouldn't.
Here's my thing.
It's a bad look, Rob. You think if it came out that someone like, say, the Dallas Cowboys did that to a prospective draft pick, the media would destroy them over that.
Let's be real clear here. The premise of this is get a dinner order wrong, not kidnap their
On
mother and hold
purpose
them at
to
gunpoint.
see what kind of character.
Yes.
Yeah, it's deceptive. It's wrong.
Character.
Why can't you see that this is wrong?
Is it deceptive? You're damn right it is. I need to know how you because what you do know here. Let's go with the information this quarterback would know. They're sitting down at dinner with an NFL GM who may or may not draft them, who does have the power to decide, are they going at this spot or this spot and how much money that comes along with it, right? So that dinner, they got their best face on. They got their best face. They got their best behavior. They got their P's and Q's all in a line. That's not going to tell me who you are. When I bring a guy in to interview them for a job, I treat every interview as if that guy is deceiving me about who he really is. Because I'm going to tell you, most people in job interviews do. What would you say is your biggest weakness? Well, my biggest weakness is I work too hard. Bull crap, Ken. No, it's not. That's not your biggest weakness. Stop lying to me. Your biggest weakness is you only sleep 3 hours a night and you show up tired every day. Be honest. Everybody deceives everybody.
My apologies to anyone named Ken who is a hard worker.
I mean, I'm sure there's a Ken or two out there that's a hard worker. The point here is this is a wonderful test of character. And it is a test of character that they don't know they're being tested. And not knowing you're being tested or watched, that is when your character shines through. When you are not watched.
Surveillance?
That's when your character shines through.
All right.
Again. Do you not want to make sure your NFL quarterback's not going to go pop off and kick a puppy because he got mad because it pooped on his lawn? I need to know he's not going to do that. I like this take. I like this idea. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Kick a puppy? Really?
That's the worst thing I could come up with.
That's pretty bad.
I mean, Michael Vick.
Okay. We don't know that he kicked it. I don't think that was worth it. He did fight them, though.
All right, guys, excuse me for just a minute. We will be right back.
By the way, Kane, no offense, you and other people who don't actually understand what contrarian means. Contrarian is taking a different opinion just to have a different opinion. That's my opinion on this situation. It has nothing to do with me going, well, Rob said this, so let me say something else. No. And rarely, I'm not going to say never, but rarely is that the case. I have different opinions than other people. That doesn't make me a contrarian. That just means I have a different opinion. That's how that works. If you want me to be a yes man, I'm not wired that way. I can do it, but it's going to be sarcastic.
So this Nico Iamaleava story has been ongoing for coming up on a week now. It's been a week since we found out that he wanted to renegotiate his NIL deal. It has been about 6 days since we found out that Nico was considering a holdout if they would not renegotiate his deal. Friday will be a week since Josh Heupel announced that Nico Iamaleava was leaving the team. And obviously, talking heads from around the college football world have been checking in on this story, and we have been reacting to them. So let's keep that streak going. Booger McFarland.
We've all heard that no one person is bigger than the program. I don't care who that one person is. University of Oklahoma, Florida State University, LSU. I don't care if you won a Heisman Trophy, if you've been a four-time All-American, no one person can supersede hundreds of years of an institution. And I get it. It's a moment in time. We all feel like, okay, this is the most important moment. But Nico Iamaleava isn't bigger than Tennessee. Peyton Manning wasn't bigger than Tennessee. Dan Cannell is not bigger than Florida State. And so I agree with everything because I'm a big believer in life, man, of doing the right thing. Like, I'm a big believer in karma, man. Like, if somebody doesn't want to be there, then I don't want you there. It's no different. If somebody doesn't want to be with you as a companion or a mate, then guess what? Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord spit you. And so I would have done the exact same thing because you can't allow one person to hold the entire roster hostage, guys. And I think Josh did the right thing. Tennessee may not be better off right now, but I think in the long run, they'll be better off.
So I got a couple of thoughts on that. And I will acknowledge that this is where the conversation, I think, starts to get a little deeper because we get into the concept of philosophy here. Yeah. The no one person is bigger than the program. I don't disagree with that take, even though I am pro player portal, pro NIL. No one player is bigger than the program. However, the program doesn't exist if it's not for the players, right? Like, this was the concept from the beginning. The program doesn't exist if not for the players. And the reason a program like Tennessee exists and is able to have the success that it has and make the money that it makes for the people it makes the money for, etc., is because they have some of the best football players on the face of the planet. As I have said time and time again, do you want to know how I know? The reason that I know is because Tennessee doesn't have to advertise season tickets. Furman bust their rear end. Wofford bust their rear end to beg you guys to come out and support the schools and support football games, right? They just do. And I don't think anybody, and I don't think this is disrespectful, is going to argue that Furman's got the caliber of football players. Great football, but not the caliber of football players as a Tennessee. No one player is bigger than the program. I agree with that. But the program is an accumulated group of people. That's what the program is. The program is this amorphous, undistinguished, unidentified, non-tangible thing. It's just the letter T. What the program is are the people who make it up. And so while no one person is bigger than the program, we do have to also acknowledge that some people are bigger than others in the program. Quick. When I say Florida Gator football, who do you think of? Tim Tebow? I mean, I got to think Tim Tebow's the first guy that comes to your brain, right? Was Tim Tebow bigger than the program? No. Was Tim Tebow more important to the Florida Gators during his heyday than everybody else on that roster? You're damn right he was. If you were going to divvy up money based on what people bring to the table, would Tim Tebow have made more money than everybody else? Yeah. Now, would I want to recruit a guy like Tim Tebow, who I am confident in saying I'm pretty sure would have taken less money to give more of it to his teammates? Absolutely. And that is why I've said in the new era, the ability to recruit kids who are good kids is going to be a talent, a skill that coaches are going to have to bleeping learn, because you need to recruit Tebows. You need to recruit kids who are going to go, I get $4 million, but why don't you put 2 of that back into the collective and give it to my teammates? That type of kid. Nico, as I said yesterday, had every right to ask for more money. He had every right to do it. You know who else has every right to ask for money? Literally every person. Every one of us. Welcome to America, baby. You have the right to ask for more money. And the people who decide if you are going to get more money or not have the right to say, nah, dog, we good. We're all right. We'll be all right without you. You can go ahead on mosey on down the dusty trail. They have the right to say that too. It needs to be. And this is the second part of Booger's take. The second part of Booger's take was, if you have somebody in any type of relationship who doesn't want to be with you, they got to go. Here's the thing. Nico Iamaleava was happy to be with Tennessee. He just wanted to get fairly compensated for it. And here's this is the fun little thing about relationships. We are all in a relationship because of what the other person can give to us, as much as we are the nice fifis. But see, the thing is, the nice fifis are part of what that person gives to you. That is your compensation. When you look deep and lovingly into your wife's eyes and you feel those butterflies start to flutter in your tummy, that feeling, that positive feeling of warmth and comfort and happiness, that is something only your partner gives you. That's why you're with her. That's why you're with him. When you're with your husband and he gives you that sense of safety and security and protection, that's your compensation. And you better be working to compensate them back the same way. Because if you are not giving them the compensation that they are giving you, then it's a failed relationship. I am sorry to say, because this sounds awful, every relationship is transactional. Every relationship. Your love relationships, your personal relationships, your professional relationships, they are all transactional. Now, what you accept as compensation is up to you. That's subjective. For a lot of kids, for probably most, if not every FCS kid, the compensation of a scholarship might be good enough for them. Hell, for baseball, college baseball, they only get 9 scholarships? There's 20 guys on the team. For a large chunk of college baseball players, the compensation of play baseball is good enough for them to maintain the relationship. Nico Iamaleava was more visible, more seen, more paid attention to, more regarded than most of the quarterbacks in the college football landscape. Justified or not, it's irrelevant. He just was. And so he knows that he can do better elsewhere, or at least he thought he could, right? It's kind of the concept of you're in a relationship with somebody. You're in a loving romantic relationship. And then one day they leave you and you go, why'd you leave me? And they go, I found somebody else. That other person provided more to them than you did. This is why I tell my young fellas all the time, boys, I know it's aggravating. If you do the dishes to the point that she doesn't have to ask you to do the dishes, trust me, she notices. If you take out the trash without her having to ask you to take out the trash, trust me, she notices. If you sweep the floor without her having to ask you to sweep the floor, trust me, she notices. All of that is compensation. And in return, you get those lovey-dovey warm feelings that she gives you. That's the compensation you get for providing the compensation to her. And it's not always going to be fair. And sometimes they're going to have less to give than you do. And sometimes they're going to have more to give than you do. It's always going to be changing. But that's what this is. No one is saying Nico Iamaleava is bigger than the program. But you also have to define the program, Booger. And my response would be the program is everybody that shows up and practices in place. Everybody that does it. And if you think for a second that in any given group of people working together to accomplish any given task, that one or two people aren't more important than others, you never had to do a group AP history project, did you? You never had to do a history project where you all had to draw out a timeline of World War II. And you show up and you do your portion of it. And then you show up to the group meeting and Jimmy shows up. And wouldn't you know it, Jimmy didn't do his part. Jimmy didn't do his part of the timeline from 1945 to 1947. And guess what happens now? You got to go do it. You got to go do it. And then you do it and you show up and everybody gets an A and Jimmy gets an A. Who was more valuable there? Well, no one's bigger than the program, right? No one's bigger than the group, except you were. That's it. Nico agreed to a scholarship, a one-year deal, and he agreed to an NIL deal. But then he said, I'm providing more to you than that. I am providing more to you than you are giving me, and I want that made up. And Tennessee said, we don't agree. Goodbye. Okay. That was Nico's choice. And with real life power comes real life consequences. That's all this is. Real quick before we split out, here's Dusty Dvorak. He said, and then couldn't get the audio playing. So I'll tell you what, I'll save that one. I'll put it in the can for later because I think there was some. Thanks, Dusty. Thanks, Dusty. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say.
His name is Dusty. I mean, you gotta dust him off and get him ready to go.
Got Dusty Dvorak audio for you later. He commented on this as well, and I think he had an interesting take. Look, it's real simple. I'm gonna go back and finish up my thoughts on Booger here. Texter says, sounds good, Rob. Translation, Nico wanted to charge a higher price after agreeing to a deal. He has no honor. That's reality. Nico's NIL deal. What was it? Because my understanding, and I very well could be wrong on this. My understanding is that NIL deals are 1 year, just like scholarships, right? 1 year scholarships, 1 year deals. That's my understanding. I could be totally wrong about that.
No one really knows, though, except for the players and the collectives themselves, because there's no regulation. You have no idea what they're promising and all that kind of thing unless someone reneges on it.
I agree. But again, my understanding, and it could be wrong about Nico, is that they're 1 year deals just like scholarships are, right? So, because what you don't want is to give a kid a 3 year NIL deal, and then he leaves after a year, and then he comes to you and goes, oh, by the way, you're still contracted to pay me because we signed a deal, right? I believe they're 1 year deals, regardless of what it is. If I sign a deal to work here and do this radio show for X $1,000 a year, and then a year later, it gets picked up, it's nationally syndicated, and it's being broadcast on 115 different radio stations nationally, don't you think it's fair that I go downstairs and I go, boss, I know we're inside of the terms of the original deal, but the scope of what I'm doing here has changed. So I would like to renegotiate for more money. Now, the boss could absolutely tell me no. He could say, nope, not worth it to me, Rob. And then you know what I could do? I could go, cool, I don't work here anymore. And I'm going to take my show somewhere else. That's it's a business transaction in which Nico provided compensation to Tennessee in the form of be a real good quarterback. And Tennessee provided compensation to Nico for doing that in the form of $2 million. Now, here's the next step in the evolution of this story, and then we'll run to a break. Yesterday, it was reported by a couple of different sports business people that there are at least 3 schools lined up to sign Nico Iamaleava to a scholarship and an NIL deal. for less than $1 million a year. Nico might have cost himself over $1 million a year doing this. With real life opportunity comes real life consequences, young players. Make sure you're making the right decision. The right decision for you is to sit back, relax, unwind, and let Lonzo take you on this journey of sports we call a sports flash.
A 3-game losing streak came to an end for the Gamecocks baseball team last night with a 4-0 win over the Citadel. Jackson Susi got the start throwing 3.1 innings and allowing no runs on 3 hits. The Gamecocks haven't won an SEC game since April 4th and open a 3-game set against Ole Miss tomorrow. Golden State reached the playoff bracket with a 121-116 win over Memphis. Steph Curry had 37. Jimmy Butler had 28 in the win. Yesterday, the Hub City Spartanburgers took down the Bowling Green Hot Rods 5-3 for the first home win in franchise history. Left fielder Dylan Draylen and catcher Malcolm Moore both homered. Moore's 2-run shot put the Spartanburgers ahead for good. The series continues today. Gates open at 5:30 for 6:35 first pitch. Spartanburgers lefty Josh Trentadue and Hot Rods righty Marcus Johnson are the scheduled starters for today's baseball game.
Hey, it's Charlie James. You know, living with chronic joint pain is like trying to get comfortable on a cactus sofa. Nothing feels good. And forget trying to do the things you enjoy this spring, golf, hiking, tennis. You're just trying to get by. I want you to know something. The medical pros at QC Kinetics right here in Greenville are on the case and focused to finally get you the relief you need. They've already treated tens of thousands of patients around the country with regenerative treatments to help calm that debilitating joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. With QC Kinetics, the science is solid. They give you your life back without surgery, without drugs, and without any downtime. Everybody's trying to live healthier lives and break free of harmful meds. That's the whole mission of QC Kinetics. Call now and find out how easy it is to get back to enjoying life without chronic pain. Now's the best time to get started. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation. They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772 QC Connect. 14 days, 12 games. That's right. 2 full weeks of nonstop baseball action at the Hub City Spartanburg. Open week is stacked, packed with fireworks, family fun, and the best new team in town. Be part of history. Spartanburg baseball returns April 15th. Get your tickets now at HubCitySpartanburgers.com. Join Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union at Trailblazer Park and Travelers Rest Sunday, April 27th for the Leo Santa Car Show. Greenville Heritage Federal Credit Union and Greenville County Law Enforcement have partnered with Odyssey to collect toys for upstate children. Check out some of the sweetest rides in the upstate while making a difference. More at leosanta.com. Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of guaranteed. First time swapping the windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need. Ready to put
That's I'm gonna go with Kane. That's all well and good. I love Lonzo, I love Diesel, I love Cole, I love my bosses. I don't do this for free. And if the boss came tomorrow and said, Rob, we gotta slash your salary in half, I would quit. Am I quitting on the team if I do that? No, I'm not.
Well, you kind of are. You're quitting on everything.
I mean,
That has to do
I guess
with that.
technically, okay, let's rephrase that. Is it a bad thing if I quit? If they come in tomorrow and go, we're cutting your salary in half, and I go, I'm not working for that.
I would
Is that a
understand
bad
it.
thing?
I think we all would understand it, but it would suck.
It would suck for you.
And we would still feel
100%. It would throw
like
you all in a terrible spot.
like you quit on the team. You would feel that a little bit.
If they cut your salary by half, you'd stay because Robbie needs to feel good? No, you'd be gone.
or there's
Even if it was because you had to be gone. You could not afford to work for that.
I think that's situational. Because sometimes you've worked in a profession or at a place so long that you can't do anything else.
You're not working here for
And
half
so
the money you make.
Yeah, well,
You're just not. You're telling me if they came in here today and said, hey, Lonzo, we're cutting your pay in half, you would just go, oh, well, I can't do anything else. Stinks to be me. No, you wouldn't. You'd pack up the Funkos and you'd be gone.
So I would go home and do nothing knowing that I can't find
No, you
another
would
job.
figure out something else to do. You're telling me you are so incapable of doing anything else. You would work here for half the money because you just don't believe in yourself.
I'm pretty concerned. It's not believing in myself. It's knowing what I'm capable of now physically and otherwise. And physically, I can't do anything on my feet anymore. All the radio stuff is gone in the area, including where I live. The station just shut down. So there's no other than moving, and I can't do that. So, I mean.
Would you not go on air while negotiating contract to hold out and leave Zoe to do the show alone? No,
I'm not good enough.
Well, I wouldn't be allowed to go on air, but would I walk and then immediately go on social media and explain that I left because the company cut my salary in half? You're damn right I would.
Here's the thing.
Absolutely.
He could go on air and start talking about it, but I would be given instructions to cut him off.
I would not have the mouthpiece of the radio station to complain about it, but I would 100% go on social media and go, hey, they came into my office today and told me they weren't going to pay me half the salary we agreed to. I'm out. Now, in fairness, the difference is, Nico's that would it be different if I went downstairs and I said, hey, boss, I've won awards. I host a nationally syndicated show. I guest weekly on 3 national radio shows. I'm kind of a bigger deal than when I got here. I want double the salary.
Yeah.
And he said, no. Would I leave over that?
There is no similar circumstance because supposedly this player is paid by an entity outside of the university. So it technically doesn't have anything to do with the university. It does, but it doesn't. And you can't put yourself in that situation in any other workplace than something like that because there's no outside entity paying you money while you're working here that isn't approved by management. College sports is the only thing that you can do what they're doing. Getting paid somewhere else, it's weird.
The third hour. What in the hell was that?
I think a lot of people were thinking those exact words.
What?
Not me. It happens every once in a while.
In the blue Hades was that? Me.
Maybe you get some of that tea that Pat Boyle was talking about earlier. Maybe you need some of that.
That was rough. All right, let me try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The third hour of the Rob Brown Show is live now, here, and only on the Fan Upstate. Thanks. I practiced that one. I worked on that one.
Very smooth. Didn't sound like you were reading or anything.
Coming up in this hour of the show, we got Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, or as John Gruden called him last weekend, Mark Bugatti of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us at 8:40 a.m. We'll do a post-mortem.
Why does Bugatti sound familiar? Is there
Bugatti's a car. It's a very nice, expensive car.
All right.
Very nice European, expensive luxury import car.
Definitely a compliment then.
I mean, it's a compliment in that if you're gonna be a car, like it's better that he called him Mark Bugatti than like Mark Corolla.
Well, yeah,
sure.
If they called you Rob Ferrari, are you going to be mad about it?
Robbie Ferrari is kind of a badass name, and I kind of want to use that now.
But it sounds too much like Guy Fieri.
Hey, Guy Fieri is a legend.
He is.
I love that.
I'm not
guy.
Disparaging him, and his hair game is awesome. He's on every single food show there is, just about.
Yeah, because he's a hell of a character. And also, by the way, if you want it,
and he sounds just like Stone Man. If you just close your eyes and listen,
he has a series of Welcome to Flavor Town sauces that you can buy, and his Chipotle garlic sauce is mwah, chef's kiss. I put it on everything.
How much of a kick does that have to it?
Good, like a good one.
Okay.
Like a good one. I've started putting it on my little fat guy lunches. My fat guy's trying to be less of a fat guy lunches. I've started putting a little Chipotle sauce on the top of that from Flavortown. I am now officially a resident of Flavortown. Thanks, Guy Fieri. And it's fire, man. It's fire. I like it a lot. Anyway, Mark Bugatti, a.k.a. Benetti, going to join us here in about 37 minutes. We will put a post-mortem on the Greenville Swamp Rabbit season. Came to its conclusion this past weekend. And keep up with what the off season is going to look like for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. We'll have Benetti joining us here in just a little while. Got another couple of sound bites from the Nico Iamaleava story that we've been paying attention to. In fact, you know what? I'm just gonna. Well, no, I got the audio blitz here. That's right. It's 8:00. We have a segment to do here, like we always do. So let's get into that. Where do we want to start? You know what? Let's start with Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler, of course, your no longer reigning, defending, undisputed Masters Golf Tournament champion. That is now the Northern Irishman Rory McIlroy. But as the up until Sunday reigning, defending, Scotty Scheffler got to pick the menu for the annual Masters Champions Dinner. Everybody who has ever won a green jacket is invited to a dinner together before the first day of the Masters. And the reigning defending gets to put the menu together. And Scotty Scheffler did. However, sometimes the Augusta National folks that organize this, they may add an item or two to the menu in order to kind of round it out a little bit. And apparently they did, and almost killed some of the old guys with it.
Did anybody get the redfish, or was everybody eating the steak?
No, some people definitely got the fish. Like that's one of the things you have to do on the menu is you have to have a meat and a fish. And so at the time, I didn't even really eat redfish. It was just like, hey, this is from Texas. Like, let's just put that on the menu. If I did the same menu this year, I'd probably eat the fish. Like as I've improved my diet, I've kind of added some of that stuff in. The only really funny thing that happened at the Champions Dinner was there was tortilla soup was on the menu too. And at the Champions Dinner, I sit at the head of the table. When you're the defending champion, you sit at the head of the table with Ben Crenshaw and then Chairman Ridley. And everybody kind of sits in their own little areas. Like you have groups of guys where they sit year in, year out. And so most of the older guys are on my left side. And they bring out the soup. Everybody sits down and they start eating it. And it was unbelievably spicy. And like all the old guys on the left side of the table just started coughing and like looking over. You see them sweating. They're all looking at me like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I didn't know it was going to be this spicy. I'm sorry, guys.
Added some tortilla soup to the menu. And, them folks from Texas, they love their chili powder and cumin. And apparently, it had a little pop, a little pizzazz, a little heat to it. And some of the old guys, and if you watch this, you know that there are some old guys in that building. Some of the old guys almost fell out. Scotty Scheffler almost eliminated a chunk of Masters history with some tortilla soup.
I've had tortilla soup before, and I remember having a little kick, but not that much. I mean, so I wonder what they did.
Well, it's like any other food. I mean, like I am a big fan of adding a bunch of spice to whatever I'm eating, including, like, I'm a big cayenne pepper guy. I'll put cayenne pepper on and in anything. In fact, when I make, like when I grill hamburgers on the Blackstone at the crib, I will season the meat, and then I'll make the wife's patties, and then I will go back, I'll pop some cayenne in, and I will season mine even more to give my burgers a little more heat. I like it. But I also know that as I've aged, I've gotten to the point that I will take a bite, feel the heat, and go, oh, I'm going to be miserable tonight.
See, that's the thing. I don't want to spread doubt on this, but how many bites in did it take it before they started coughing? And if you're one of the guys who's just happens to be talking while at the table while everybody else is taking a bite and you notice everyone else is coughing, are you obligated to take that bite?
I mean, man up, right? It's just soup, buddy. You're getting taken out by a cup of soup.
Is that the way you want to go, though? By soup?
No, of course not. Of course not. Alex Ovechkin, of course, he, week and a half ago or so, broke the all-time NHL goals scored record. And I pointed out at the time that I like Ovi. And I like Ovi because he's just a dude, right? And I knew that because when Ovechkin was done, and he came off the ice after that game, a roadie at the Islanders, before Ovechkin could make his way to the post-game press conference to break down the fact that he had just become the NHL's all-time leading goals scorer, Alex Ovechkin had already cracked open an ice-cold Coors Light. The mountains were blue. Ovi was knocking back a brewski before he talked to the media about his night of NHL history. Well, Ovi was on the McAfee show this week, and he just further confirmed he's just a bro. Bro.
I go in the plane and I have my Cheetos, my Subway, and Coke for sure. And on the bench, I always have a Coke. So if you see me drinking a bottle, it's a Coke.
A lot has talked about how you're incredibly jacked and how good a shape you're in.
Are you sure I'm in shape?
I see pictures of you with no shirt more than I see a lot of other people with no shirt on.
In the summer, no good.
Ovi said, I love a Coke. If you see me on the sideline with a squeezy squirt bottle, that's ice cold Coca-Cola. Can I tell you how real that is? Can I tell you how many days after I remind myself, Rob Brown, drink some water. Drink some water. Be healthy. Drink some water. Hydrate, buddy. Drink some water. And then the minute I get to the fridge, if I crack that bad boy open and I see a nice cold cheer wine in there, I'm going off.
Oh, come on.
That's all there is.
Did you really go cheer wine?
I love cheer wine, dude.
Oh, it's so bad. The other thing about Ovechkin, so if he spills some of that Coke on the ice, it's going to go right through to whatever's underneath the ice. It's just going to melt right through that.
No, I don't think so. If the Coke's ice cold.
You haven't used Coke to clean your windshield and all that. Dude, there's a lot of corrosive materials in there.
Oh, okay. Well,
which is why you should always go with Pepsi products.
Careful, Ovi. Don't drink carbonated products around work.
Don't do that. You know you are dooming yourself. You've been awful close a couple of times.
Also, I love that
Don't be
Ovi,
trying to get a new board by taking out the old one.
I do love Ovi is one of the greatest athletes of all time, and yet rocks the dad bod like crazy. Probably because he's knocking back ice cold Coca-Colas on the bench.
All right. So as far as hockey goes, I have no idea what kind of shape these guys are in. I mean, underneath they wear so much equipment. I'm thinking a bunch of beer brawlers.
Nope.
You're not there. I mean,
nope.
Come on. Those guys are fighting.
I'm in a hockey locker room once a week.
Okay.
They're jacked, bro.
You didn't even say buddy or pal.
Don't need to. Kevin Harlan was calling a game the other night, and oops.
Tonight from Madison Square Garden, the NBA on TNT is brought to you by the new crispy tenders at CarMax. What? The way car buying should be. Can that be? What is that? Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm holding. Hold on. Are they serving tenders with cars? Are there tenders in the car? Because if there is, you're in. We just had the marriage of two different sponsors, and it was ugly. Who wrote that? Only you can laugh about it. Well, that just goes to show you, I literally will read anything they put in front of me without even looking like, holy cow.
I'm Ron Burgundy? Damn it, who put a question mark in the teleprompter? What a moment from Harlan.
Come to CarMax. Chicken tendies served with every car sold.
I mean, in fairness, a very good way to get me to do anything is tell me that chicken tenders will be involved. Like a good way to get me to do anything will be, hey, Rob, there's going to be chicken tenders. Oh, I am more likely to come. Will you have Guy Fieri's Flavor Town dipping sauces, though? That might be the make or
break. And will
for me.
Dom Mysterio be there to share the tendies with you?
Big tendy guy. The Detroit Tigers played yesterday. They have a new...
Maybe Andy Reid if they got nuggies.
Do love a nuggie, too, which are just tiny chicken tenders. The Detroit Tigers, they're a baseball team. They had a baseball game a couple of days ago. And when the Detroit Tigers started getting guys on the base paths, a new celly erupted across the baseball world. Celebration dance.
Okay, I thought maybe celery.
Nope,
Celly. Celeborn from Lord of the Rings. I mean, there's a lot of cellies out there.
A new celly has taken.
Tom Selly?
No, we're not doing that. The celly is that the tiger will hold up one hand, and then he will take the other hand, and he will drag it across his arm in a sawing motion, like so. For those of you watching on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Fan Upstate on X, the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. And so for a couple of days, the announcers on the FanDuel network who cover the Tiger games, They were going, what is this celebration that the Tigers are doing? Where did this come to? Every baseball team kind of has their own thing. Like for a while, the Rangers used to do antlers up, which I hated and was dumb. The Braves did the chop for a while, or the sword slash. This year, Lonzo, because everybody loves wrestling, their celly this year is A-Town Down, because A-Town Atlanta, A-Town Down.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, well, you're going to love this one.
It's not a celebration at second base. Daniela, you finally asked what that celebration is.
Oh, yeah, I've been waiting for this answer. I always love to hear the new Sully story. So that's actually from the original Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. So going back a few years, Macho Man has a appearance in there, and his name is Bonesaw in the movie. If you remember the scene, Jason, you and I got a refresher earlier today watching the scene from the movie. And if you look, he's sawing his bone. That's the Bonesaw signal. So that's when Spider-Man steps into the ring with Bonesaw. That's where that came up. That's where that came from.
Bonesaw is ready. I get you for 3 minutes of playtime.
I'm just going to guess that she's not anti-Spider-Man, that she's more of a Tom Holland person. You know, because Tobey Maguire, believe it or not, was a long time ago.
First off, Tom Holland's adorable. I can't blame her. He's adorable. And I'm not going to lie, as much as I actually really loved Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man of this generation of Spider-Mans. But what I would like to point out is that the Tigers decided to hit the celly by letting everybody know Bonesaw is ready.
What does that have to do with Tigers, though?
Nothing. It's just Bonesaw's awesome.
Just someone decided, hey, this is our thing now.
Yeah. It's just awesome because Bonesaw is ready. I get you through 3 minutes of playtime. If you saw that Spider-Man movie when it dropped, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, when that cameo hit from the Macho Man, and you didn't lose your mind, I don't know what to tell you.
My first thought is like, man, he's been hitting the roids or something. He looks so much bigger. But I think a lot of it has to do when you see a wrestler outside of their element next to normal people, it makes them look even bigger.
It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up. Yeah, the Macho Man cries. The Macho Man feels all the emotions. You ever heard that he did a speech to Arsenio Hall about why it's okay for macho men to cry? And I got to tell you, I watch it once a month. Makes me feel better.
I'm good. I've been meaning to add his songs to my Spotify. I got to do that.
I respect it. I respect it immensely. Bonesaw is ready. It's like a B- Macho Man. It's not great. It's not bad.
Yeah, moments are close in there.
Yeah. I gotta kind of like, it's like a golf swing. Like you gotta focus on getting the details right. But when it's time to unleash, you can't think. You just gotta have them. You just gotta have it trained down, and then try not to drift into it for no reason. All right, that's enough of that.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit closer to Mr. Krabs.
Oh, yeah.
Still sounds more like Mr. Krabs.
Well, now I'm stuck here. Now I'm stuck in this spot. All right. When we come back here in just a minute, I'll tell you what we'll do. When we come back, let's get the Dusty Dvorak soundbite from the Nico Iamaleava story. Then Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joins us to round out the hour. Then the 9 o'clock hour. The Armada Assault, whatever you guys want to get to for the final 60. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Right with the Macho Man.
That just frightened me that you were watching something. And where's that sound coming from? Oh, no.
Excuse us just a minute, guys. We'll be right back. So we are continuing to watch this Nico Iamaleava story. And the reason why, because I got asked when we talked about it yesterday, why I'm hanging on this story about Tennessee so much. And the answer is because I think we have hit a boundary. I think we have hit a hard stop. It has been over the past year and a half, 2 years, that players have largely kind of been able to do whatever they want. It almost felt like the players didn't just get power, but to some degree, they got almost unchecked power. You can transfer as often and wherever you would like. NIL has no cap on it. It felt like the players, specifically the best of the best, had unchecked, unbridled power. And I have been saying for the duration of this story, that's not true. At some point, a school somewhere is going to have to be the first school that grows a set and says, yeah, no, we're not standing for that. We're not good with that. We're not doing that. We're not on board with that. The answer, player X, is no. You're not getting that money. We're not paying you that. It's not happening. And if it means you're going to transfer and take your 5-star talent somewhere else, see ya. And that kind of feels like where we are with Tennessee. They are the first school that decided that they are going to say, absolutely not, Nico Iamaleava. You do not have unbridled, unchecked, unmitigated, unlimited power. We have power too. We have the power to decide who's going to be on this program and who aren't, and you ain't. And that's going to be it. So this story to me is a big story because one of two things happens. Either A, more schools fall in line. More schools decide that they're going to have the guts to do what Tennessee did, recognizing that it might hurt them. Having the courage to make a move like this comes with the knowledge that if another school swoops in and pays Nico Iamaleava $5 million and he goes and wins a Natty and a Heisman and all that, you're going to have egg on the face. However, if nobody swoops in and grabs Nico Iamaleava, if nobody gives him a deal, and by the way, the reports on the social media, for whatever that's worth, the reports on the social media right now is that there are schools looking for Nico Iamaleava. There are schools that are interested in bringing Nico Iamaleava to their squad. But there are reports that Nico's getting offers of NIL of $1 million or less, which means he wanted to double the two, but he might end up having it down to one and play at a school that maybe isn't a real national championship threat like Tennessee might be this year. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's the reason I've been following this story. That's the reason I've been locked in on this story. Earlier today, we give you a quote from Booger McFarland. Here is Dusty Dvorak's thoughts.
I still think it would be just incredibly shocking if they did all this without a landing spot already set up. That's why it won't. I feel like that there's got to be something that hasn't come out yet that's going to materialize, and it will wind up netting out good for Nico. But there's a part of me that hopes that doesn't happen. And it's like, I don't think he's a bad young man. I don't have ill will towards him, but the way this whole thing has gone down, like I want everybody is paying attention, everybody. And if Nico betters his situation, whether it be goes to a team that's maybe even a better spot, gets more money than what he was making in Tennessee, and he betters himself, what message will that send to the other players in college football? That's how you do it, man. That's what you do. Now, if he doesn't and he winds up at a lesser program, a worse situation, and we find out the money's not as much, then what's that say? It's gonna put people on notice. It's gonna make you a little bit more cautious whenever you're going through this process. So I don't know how you feel about that, but I just find myself like kind of wanting to see what you think, that they misplayed their hand There isn't going to be that market out there. And this is going to wind up being a cautionary tale for players and understanding if they have leverage or not. And more importantly, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And if you're in a really good situation and you're being well compensated for it, be thankful.
So that is kind of an extension of what I was saying. Now, it started off with Dusty Dvorak saying, there's got to be more to this, right? Like, there's got to be more to this story. There has to be something else that we don't know yet. There's got to be something else that we're not aware of yet. There's got to be a deal that was in place or a conversation that was happening or something that led Nico Iamaleava and his dad to say, you know what, it's worth the swing with Tennessee, right? Because if Tennessee says no, we've got this backup plan. Now, I would make the argument to Dusty Dvorak that there's also the opposite side of the coin, which is, no, they just did something real dumb, right? Like, this is, I live by the mantra, never attribute to malice that which can be explained by dumbassery. I believe that is that's the way that Confucius said it back in the day. That's where I've landed. I think it is entirely possible that Nico Iamaleava and his dad maybe had an inflated opinion of what he was going to be worth on the market, right? Carson Beck, he's caught a lot of strays during this conversation. Carson Beck's not a bad quarterback. Like, he's not a bad quarterback. Do I think he's one of the GOATs? Do I think he's a guy that we're going to be talking about in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? No, not really. But he's a good quarterback. This kid they got coming into Duke might be the best quarterback Duke's ever had, or at least dating back to Danny Dimes back in the day. But like, for a school like Duke, the best player they can get might be worth $4 million, even though he may not be as good as Nico. A player who is less talented but is still exceptional, is less talented but is still really good, might be worth $4 million to Duke, but only $2 million to Tennessee because they got more options of better players at that spot, right? So I think what it comes down to here is I think Nico and his dad maybe just overvalued Nico. And they decided to swing for the fences. Listen, you hear a million stories of which the moral is bet on yourself. I'll be honest, I've bet on myself a couple of times. And the fact that I'm here talking to you lovely people at 8:28 on Wednesday, April 16th of 2025, and not stuck working somewhere in a bank where it's mandated that I wear socks or I'm fired, says to me that my bets on myself paid off. I bet on myself to move here and do this job. I had no idea if I was going to be successful or not. Turns out it paid off. But here's the unfortunate part about life. It is only the success stories like that that make their way into your periphery. There are, for every I bet on myself story that ends in success, there's 100,000 I bet on myself and it cost me stories. I know plenty of people that bet on themselves to do what I do and it didn't work out. I'm gonna sound real callous here, and I do not intend to be. When I auditioned for this job, there were, that I am aware of, no less than 6 other people that were finalists for this position. No less than 6. 1 or 2 of which I'm still friends with. Those people gave up a lot to put themselves in a position to get this job, and they didn't get it. And some of them have moved on to other markets, and some of them are out of radio entirely. They have moved on to another career field because they bet on themselves and they lost. So even just talking about me right now, there were 7 or 8 people who bet on themselves, and I'm the only one it worked out for. Those other 7 people, their bets on themselves did not pay off. That's why it's a bet on yourself. versus invest in yourself. I encourage everyone to invest in themselves. Again, going to sound like a guy who's poo-pooing on the party here. There's a lot of times I would advise you, don't bet on yourself. It's not a good bet. I tell myself that regularly. As I have said on the show, and it's not a joke, I don't believe in myself most of the time. I have stopped myself from swinging for the fences many times because the likelihood of failure was exponentially larger than the likelihood of success. Nico Iamaleava swung for the fences and bet on himself, and it looks like he may have lost the bet. I'm not saying Dusty Dvorak is wrong. What I'm saying is I got no reason to believe in a conspiracy theory because the other part of that is the insinuation that if Nico and his dad already had a landing spot, that means what? That means they had an impermissible conversation with somebody. That means they had an impermissible conversation with another school or another collective or a representative thereof.
There's no regulation on the collectives.
There is regulation on the collectives. There are conversations that they are and are not allowed to have. There are contact periods and no contact. It's tampering, just like anything else.
With collectives, I don't.
Yes. There are limited access for collect. They cannot just be on the phone calling everybody willy-nilly. That's not to say that it doesn't happen, but it is what it is. So
the collectives don't report to anybody.
The collectives absolutely report to. They have to work with the school. I will go through during the break and find the best I can. Find the restrictions that they have. But even if that was the case, it still feels to me, because if that conversation happened, Nico Iamaleava, it would be reported, was already on his way to another school. Even though the portal opens today, even though Nico will put his name in the transfer portal today, it would have already been reported, I have to assume, that because remember, the whole thing about the renegotiation period, that wasn't announced. Nico didn't go on social media and say, I'm looking for $2 million more. That was just people found out from the conversations and reported it. Nico would be on his way. Nico would be going somewhere. And he's not, at least not yet. Maybe we find out by the end of the day that Nico's on his way to, USC. UCLA, whatever. They put together a $4 million deal. Maybe we find out he's going to USC, but he only got a $1 million deal. I don't know.
All right. According to everything that I'm seeing, they can talk to recruits all year long. They cannot discuss
recruits or players at other schools.
A player in another school is a recruit.
No, a player in another school is a player. A recruit is a recruit. According to the NCAA, no NIL collectives are generally prohibited from directly communicating with players at other schools.
Generally,
I'm sure that there are some exceptions, and maybe there is one here. The point here is,
I just don't believe that they can't regulate anything else. I don't believe that they know whether a collective is talking to a player or not. You can't convince me otherwise. And see that they can talk to a player without telling the college that they're talking to them because they don't work for the college.
The most frustrating thing in the world that I would say is the biggest strain on the relationship between you and Izo is that right there. You can't convince me otherwise. I just read you. I just read you the rule.
Yeah, but you right.
Now their inability to enforce it is a different story.
Right. You read.
So that's what you're saying. You
read me a rule.
Right.
Okay. There are all kinds of rules. That doesn't mean everyone abides by the rules. I don't disagree. And if I'm a collective and I go, well, I really like that player, I'm going to talk to that player and I'm going to tell him, hey, if you come here, we got all this money for you. But I don't have to tell the college that I did it.
And what happens when the collective from that school finds out that their player's been impermissibly contacted? They just go, oh, well, what are you going to do? No, that bleep will be called to the table immediately, right?
It's chaos. It's the wild, wild west. There is no absolute regulation. There's a generally regulated.
The wild, wild west term is the most dramatic Oscar-winning take I've ever heard. Oh, so there's no Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
I'm John Moranton over here. And it's the wild, wild west.
And there's a lot of people out there that would call it to the table because it would benefit them. Mm-hmm. But all of that aside.
And some people would not call it to the table because it would benefit them.
All of that aside. Yes, I would think Tennessee, if they found out that the collective of USC made the call to Nico impermissibly, they'd be like, yeah, no, you're not doing that to our 5-star, highly heralded future of the QB position.
Yeah, but if they never got wind of it, and the other team, which was what, UCLA or
do
whoever?
you think for a second they're not getting wind of it? That they would keep that would be able to be kept under wraps. I don't for a heartbeat. But all that put aside,
I appreciate your absolute belief in the system. Way to go, you.
I disrespect your absolute unceasing cynicism in the system, right? So
it is all work, Rob. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
I have heard that from one particular place. All of that to the side. Nico put himself out there, bet on himself, and it looks like it's going to pay off. Oh, excuse me. It looks like it's not going to pay off. Got that one backwards. All right. Mark Benetti about 10 minutes out, so he'll join us a little late in the next segment, but he will join us. We'll talk some hockey next. Final segment, we'll talk Atlanta Braves, and then whatever y'all want to get to on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Sorry, Rob, you're absolutely right in your point, and everything that you say
Thank
is
you.
absolutely right, without a doubt.
Finally. Acknowledgement. That's all I've ever wanted.
Can I get you a drink? Should I fluff your chair?
This chair's a mess. You can't fluff.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, I could attempt it if that's what you would like.
Yes, please fluff my chair.
All right. One thing, I won't fluff it while you're in it. Okay, that's one thing I won't do that.
You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever needed.
I don't know if you understand how weird that is after I talked about fluffing your chair that you're singing that.
I want you.
Sounds like a boy band song. I don't recognize.
It's Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
Oh my God, we're back again. Burn, burn, brothers, sisters, everybody say. Burn, burn, and I don't know why. Yes, I do. It's because I said that's all I ever wanted, and then that's obviously going to lead me right to the Backstreet Boys.
Obviously.
So tell me what to do now, cause I want you back.
I hate that I don't know the song, so I don't know if you're doing it justice or not.
Absolutely, I always do.
That's a great question, Brian. I also would like to know the answer to that question. And I will say, if he doesn't ask it, I will.
You guys are bad.
Hopefully it doesn't put a strain on the relationship, but I'm willing to take that chance.
Oh my God. Get out. I don't want to choose an advanced security method, Instagram. I just want to log in like normal. I don't want to download another app. I want you back. Am I the only one? Yeah. Oh my God, we're back again. Brothers, sisters, everybody saying. Gonna ask a question, just show you how. Yeah. Okay, listen, I don't know what you want me to say.
I'm just laughing,
Yeah.
knowing that this isn't going out to the stream. And, the people on the radio can hear you singing it, but, I mean, they can't hear the music.
Yeah. Am I everything you need? You better rock your body right, everybody.
This is what we do when we stretch for Bugatti.
I got to assume, even though he can't hear Backstreet's Back All Right playing in the background right now, I'm going to roll with the assumption that Mark Bonetti, the legendary and iconic voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, was absolutely getting down to the Backstreet Boys back in the day, Mark Bugatti.
I maybe.
What do you mean? Maybe? That's Alonzo answer. What do you mean, maybe?
I'm just the Backstreet Boys guy that I was an NSYNC guy, although NSYNC had some bangers.
NSYNC had bangers after. And on top of that, Bugatti, which we're coming to here in just a minute, it wasn't just that they were slappers and none of us wanted to admit it around the boys at the time. But I learned about 7th grade that if you just told the gals that you were down with the Backstreet Boys, the gals were down with you.
Yep. Amen to that. Learned that one pretty quick.
Mama didn't raise no fools. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the airwaves of the Upstate, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate, as he does every week during hockey season. And I was going to say one last ride, but let's be real. We're just going to have Bonetti on to talk random stuff throughout the offseason. The voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, my guy, Mark Bonetti, a.k.a. Bugatti. What a weekend you had, pal.
Hey, really quick, I just want to say I Googled Bugatti, and guess whose picture shows up?
It's got to be Bonetti's.
It is.
It's just his name now.
It is.
I tell you what here, man. I sound like a car.
Here's a guy. For those of you that did not follow the news this weekend, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits sent John Gruden, Chucky, that guy that makes all the weird feeling nicey videos on the internet, that guy, sent him a box of Greenville Swamp Rabbits gear. And Bugatti, Chucky went all the hell in on the bits, and it was incredible.
It was fantastic. I swear, it's a wonder what happens when you just make a simple gesture of sending a guy a box of swag with a jersey, a bucket hat, and a couple of quarter zips. It is just, it's phenomenal. And he was so gracious about it. His assistant was great about unboxing it and getting it on, his reel of things. It was absolutely incredible. Now, what was unprompted was after we won Sunday and he comes back. I tell you what here, man, I'm a fan of the Swamp Rabbits and I'm 1-0, man. Like that was incredible. That was absolutely, I was speechless. Like, it was one thing to see the unboxing. We're the only hockey team he's gotten. We're the only professional team outside of football that he's gotten. And we were just like, we were on the moon with that. And then we win. And this was our victory Monday. And he's just like, I tell you what here, man, that Matthias Scholl, 41 saves, man. Like, it was incredible.
Now, the highlight to me of all this was that in the first video, you could tell that Chucky getting familiar with the squad, but also being over the moon about it was great, because the longer the video went on, the more he got away from the notes and tried to just be the guy, the more, we'll just say the more complicated it got, up to and including repeatedly referring to Mark Bonetti as Mark Bugatti. How does it feel not to have a new nickname, but to have it bestowed upon thee by John Gruden?
Hey, that guy's got more Super Bowl rings than I do, so that's incredible. That was something, and So two things. You get blown up about it because it's us, right? And so my buddies are like, hey, man, Gruden talked about you guys. This is awesome. And then my other friends are like, who the hell's Bugatti? And I was like, you completely missed the assignment if you have no idea that that's me he's talking about. It was insane. It was absolutely insane.
Mark Bonetti, a.k.a. the Bugatti, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the show. Second off, because I'm just taking credit for everything that I have no reason to take credit for, you got to go out to California last weekend, call some games for the Ontario Reign, and I'm not saying, Mark Bonetti, that it's credited to the Rob Brown bump because you became a regular character on the show. I'm sure it has at least something to do with the hard work, the constant grind, the being on the road all the time, the God-given talent, the willingness to work ridiculous hours, to be on a bus with a bunch of sweaty hockey dudes for long hours, going on plane rides, et cetera, but also the show. So congrats, man. You're big time, as we already knew.
I'd say, Woody Allen once famously said 80% of life is showing up, and I've showed up on this show a lot, probably 80% of the time. So I would say this show gets 80% of the credit for that. It was an incredible weekend. It was a busy weekend. It was a long weekend, 3-3 in 2 different time zones on completely different sides of the country. But I do that in a heartbeat 10 times out of 10 if it means representing our organization with our AHL affiliate. That to me was the coolest thing. And it's something that I contend all the time that, yes, it's awesome that I get to experience X or Y or Z. The fact that I get to do it in tandem with our logo is incredible. And so to be able to be around those guys, those coaches, the staff members, and then be able to share our logo and talk with our guys too. Caleb Lawrence, Quinn Olson, Tate Singleton, Jacob Bingham, they were all up there. They're all really, really pumped to see me come off the plane. And, it was exciting time. I'm forever grateful to the Reign. They're a first-class organization, first-class people. And, the first game wasn't so great. The second game was unreal. Got to see a Gordie Howe hat trick 9 minutes into the game. That was awesome. I got to see an 18-year-old make his pro debut and get a 33-save shutout in the process. Carter George, he was the 57th overall pick last year to Los Angeles. And then I hopped on a plane, at midnight Pacific, got here at 9 a.m. on Sunday, got into the office just about 11, and saw the Swamp Rabbits end a 17-game winning streak of the regular season champ. So I would do that 10 times over if I ever could.
And before we start talking about the end of the season for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, I have to point out, as I did earlier, dropping a couple of Macho Man sound bites on the show. There's just a tinge of Gruden hanging out in the back of your vocal pattern right now.
I tell you what here, man. When you speak like a guy and then you try to be different, the original guy just kind of sticks around here, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Frank Caliendo of the Rob Brown Show, Mark Bonetti here on the Fan Up. Say, all right, man, let's take a look at the end of the regular season. The boys get themselves a dub, as you mentioned, over the regular season champ, South Carolina, to walk it off in style. Talk to me a little bit about what it meant to end that season on a high note. I got a chance to talk to Kyle Mountain on the ice after the game, and he felt after that win almost like there was I guess like a sense of relief. Like, I know Kyle's disappointed to have missed the playoffs. I know everybody on that roster was, but it also felt like there was kind of a weight lifted to be able to get one more dub in that last game and have some positive momentum to carry into the offseason.
Well, and to do it against that team too is ridiculous. I mean, I don't care who they put out on the ice. The fact that they won 17 games in a row is wild. And we even saw it in the American League. When I was up there that last weekend, we were talking about Abbotsford, the Canucks. They had won 13 in a row coming into that weekend, finally lost a game in a shootout. They're still on a point heater right now. That is difficult to do. That is not easy. We also play, as you and I have talked about a billion times over, this is the absolute toughest division in the ECHL. And for South Carolina to go on the run they did was nuts. They're a great team, but we proved that for a 60-minute stretch, that we were better and that we had an opportunity to finish on a high note. We had so much to play for that most people don't really realize. They see a team that's not playing in the playoffs and they're like, okay, well, what are you doing? Well, it's still that build. It's still that evaluation. It's that you want to finish on a high note. You want to finish with momentum going into the offseason, and you want to send out the fans with a bang. And I think we had a lot to play for. We proved it. a week prior to that, we played that team really tough. They ended up squeaking out a 3-2 win, but that was a tie hockey game in the third period when most people looking at the numbers would think that we didn't belong in the conversation. And here we are. And then a week later, with a couple of different guys in the lineup, we end up taking them down 2-1. And to do it the way that we did, with Matthias Scholl playing out of his mind, with Jack Brackett with 2 absolute lasers top shelf, with the defensive tenacity that we did on both sides of the puck, with the special teams of 5-on-5 was incredible. And that was a hell of a way to end it.
It felt to me, Benetti, like there was a entirely different mood in that arena. And I'm not just talking about after the dub. I don't know if you could sense it up in the booth, but we got into the third period, and after the game winner, the it's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault chants had some pop. I got to thank my man, John Parker Jones, because I've been working on getting the yes chant over for the goal celly or the crowd the last couple of years. My man did it one time, and the arena erupted on it. Now, like, there was, and I don't know where it was coming from. I was just glad it was there. There was an energy in that building for the finale that, honestly, and I say this, I hope it doesn't come across as rude, because I obviously love the team, but, like, there was an energy in that building that I had not felt in a while in that building, and it was contagious and infectious, and it kind of has me optimistic about the offseason and what this team looks like next year.
I'll tell you, there's something to be said for our team showed up for the last game. So did our fans, man. They were incredible. They were absolutely dynamite. And that, to your point, I will contend that was one of the loudest moments I've heard in the arena. And I think, very similar to the players wanting to end on a high note, the fans got the assignment too. And they came out, they showed up. This was a rescheduled game. Probably people had plans already for April 13th before this game got swapped around because of snowpocalypse all the way back in January. But they showed up and they had a ball. And I swear, I think they willed us to that win. You want my honest opinion, and you know better than anybody, Rob. You've been watching sports just as long as I have, how much of an impact home field and home ice has and home court has. I mean, your fans get into it. They see that it's a 0-0 hockey game and you've got a 1-0 lead going into the third period all of a sudden on Jack Brackett's snipe. And you bring that energy, you bring that momentum, you can be a factor. And they were. It was absolutely incredible. I know that they wanted things to end differently. So did we. But, they were with us through hell and high water. And, they really showed up for that last game.
Mark Benetti, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the show. Last one, Benetti. Yes, Lonzo.
Okay, all right, because I can't relax because of the energy of this show. Just brings me up. You've got to ask a question. Or do you want me to ask it? Because
no,
you're going to do it in a nice way, of course, in a way that doesn't make you look like you've fallen or something.
Mark Benetti, you were up in the Eagles' nest during the pregame ceremony. And I've been instructed to ask by Lonzo, by my boss, and by the armada out there in the public, did you happen to see me eat on the ice before the game? Because I completely and entirely ate on the ice before the game.
I did. I'd give you a 10 for the dismount, probably a 1 for the landing there. That was, you really hate to see it.
Hate to see it. Pal, I hate to felt it.
Wait, how much did you laugh? I mean,
I didn't really laugh because it was like right before the anthem. And so I'm trying to get serious and pay reverence to our nation's song and whatnot. But then out of the corner of my eye, I see our fella hit the deck and I'm just like, whoa.
Oh God, wait. Was this on the broadcast?
It was not. I didn't say a single thing on the broadcast. I'm not that kind of guy, Rob. I wouldn't.
Yeah, he's already excited that the video didn't catch him. Now
I'm just sewering you now for it. I did not sewer you live on the air.
I listen. I am happy to take it on this show. What I meant was my gigantic ass hitting the ice on the broadcast.
On Flow, I'd have to go back and watch.
Or hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. Don't.
Maybe you should. I mean, because people want to know, and we're all about the fans.
Lonzo's a sharp guy here. I might have to.
Yeah,
he might be onto something. I don't know.
I brought it on myself.
If you are indeed a man of the people, then you need to help the people out here.
Listen, Benetti, you have the full authority of the Rob Brown Show to go pull that on Flow. And if I am indeed on the national broadcast eating every inch of on the ice, I will share it on the stream for perpetuity's sake.
I tell you what here, man, you walk out on ice and it's pretty slippery, man.
This dude gets a personalized nickname from John Gruden over the weekend, and I, on the other hand, have been sore for 4 days. That's
what do you want a nickname?
The universe ain't fair.
Like Klutz, or I mean, there's probably some other nicknames.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of our Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the legendary, the iconic Mark Bonetti, or as we all now call him and have all changed his name in our phone, Mark Bugatti, joining us on the show. Brother, I appreciate everything you've done for us and with us throughout the Swamp Rabbit season. I hope you know that you are going nowhere. You'll just be checking in for like other stuff throughout the off season at this point. But thank you for everything you've done to keep everybody up to date on the Bunnies throughout the year, pal.
Likewise, Rob. It's been a privilege to be on the show. Always is a privilege to work with both of you this whole season. I know it didn't end the way that we wanted it to, but nonetheless, we got from game 1 to game 72. We couldn't have done it without you guys. So, and with all of our fans too that are tuning in, really very much appreciate all their support. And I promise you, we're going to be back ready to rock and roll before you know it. You blink and it's going to be September, and we're talking about training camp. So I'll be excited to check in. You know where I'm at, man. I'll be here anytime you need it.
Bugatti's coming back on the show, and the next time Lonzo takes one of his 19 vacations a year, you're just coming in to co-host. You good with that?
I'm perfectly fine with that. You tell me when and where, and I'll be dialed.
Legend, Mark Bugatti, Bonetti, whatever. Every weekday or every Wednesday, pardon me, here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Lonzo's Sports Flash here at the end of every hour on the Fan Upstate.
Here you go, pal. The Orlando Magic punched their ticket to the NBA playoffs be careful walking out of the room, with a 120-95 win over Atlanta last night. Wendell Carter Jr. had 19, Paolo Banchero had 17, and Franz Wagner 13 with 13 assists. Atlanta will play the winner of tonight's Miami versus Chicago game in an elimination contest Friday. Golden State reached the playoff bracket with a 121-116 win over Memphis. Steph Curry had 37, and Jimmy Butler added 28 in the win. Yesterday, the Hub City Spartanburgers took down the Bowling Green Hot Rods 5-3 for the first home win in franchise history. Left fielder Dylan Draylen and catcher Malcolm Moore both homered. Moore's 2-run shot put the Spartanburgers ahead for good. The series continues today. Gates open at 5:30 for a 6:35 first pitch. Spartanburgers lefty Josh Trindu and Hot Rods righty Marcus Johnson are the starters.
Oh my God, we're back again. Brothers, sisters, everybody saying. I forgot the words right there. Show you how.
Just wanted to hear what it sounded like without the music. On point. I mean, you were there. You're in tune. You're on key. It was perfect. If you strip their strip the music from their vocals, it would sound just like that. Are you legitimately worried that there might actually be video now?
No, I mean, let's be real. It is what it is.
If I were to fall in public and didn't get hurt really bad, I would expect it to be shown.
I just eat it if it happens.
Yeah.
You know? You just got to eat it when it happens.
Isn't like you ran down to the ring and like slid underneath the ring or something. It's, you know. It's a little over, you know, just a little over, right? Just a little,
Yeah, no, I know, but
just a
he
little bit.
joined way late. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. You could have skipped a question, I suppose, and we would have been on time.
I also know that Bonetti has a hell of a John Gruden accent, so I wanted to give him his time to shine on that.
Wasn't bad, that's for sure.
He's got a great Gruden. He really does have. He's got a list of impressions he nails.
He had the head nod down too when he was doing it.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, when he does an impression, he does the impression. What was it? He did one last week when I was in there. Oh God, who was it? Was it? I think he did like Collinsworth. I think it was Collinsworth, and it was hilarious because it was me, him, and another guy. Me and the other guy were standing at the door to his office, and we were talking about announcers and play-by-play guys. And not only did he nailed a Collinsworth, but when he started it, he moved his chair over and then he slid in Collinsworth slide. It was hilarious. And here we go. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Up. I got to tell you, I got a hard time trying to do impressions anymore because I'm going to keep it a buck. Mark Bonetti Bugatti is Frank Caliendo, watch out. His John Gruden was like, mwah, chef's kiss, man. Like, he absolutely nailed it, which was incredible. Thanks to Mark Bonetti for joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Off. Thanks to Pat Boyle for joining us back in the first hour of the show. Patty B, my guy, getting named the new overnight host on the Infinity Sports Network. If you're one of those people that listens to this show at the end of your day and not the beginning of your day, you're about to get a lot more Pat Boyle in your life, named the overnight host from 2 to 6 a.m. on the Infinity Sports Network. And since my guy, Patty B, is ending his day at 6 a.m., conveniently right when this show starts, Pat Boyle is going to become a regular guest on this program, kind enough to join us. We'll probably, I don't want to, we may do every week. We may do every other week with Pat Boyle. We'll see. I'm going to give him a couple of weeks to let him settle into his new routine because I am relatively sure that Pat Boyle is about to become nocturnal. I did overnights at one point. And frankly, there is no other way to do it. You just have to become a creature of the night, unfortunately.
So I did night stock when I first started working at Kroger's. And so night stock is exactly what it sounds like. You like go into work at midnight and you work and you just, so on your days off, you can't switch it up usually. I mean, because your body's like, okay, you should be asleep right now. Why are you awake? And you just get used to it. You become a creature of the night.
I would say so, except for Sunday. I didn't get out of bed till like 11:30 in the afternoon. Like I got out of bed in time to get up and watch the Masters, and that was just it. So like 2 to 6 a.m. is a lot different than 6 to 10 a.m. It's a whole different world. So good luck, Patty B. We're all pulling for you, and congrats on the gig. All right. Let's talk Atlanta Braves here for just a minute. They drop a heartbreaker last night to the Toronto Blue Jays. They get game number one. I can't do any more songs on the show today. All right, Lonzo's over here pulling audio during the breaks. I can't do any more songs.
Oh, just because you heard. Yeah, but I mean, your Pat Benatar, right on, just like your Backstreet Boys.
Right on, dude. Right on. The Bravos drop a painful one last night to the Toronto Blue Jays. They had not one, not two, but 3 different dongs last night in that game. Unfortunately for the Atlanta Braves, they just had nothing else working after that. They could not get guys on the bags. They could not get guys walking around the bags. Because they couldn't get guys walking around the bags, they once again faced an absolute barrage of breaking balls from the Blue Jays pitching staff, Kevin Gossman and co. And with that, unfortunately, came the reality that the Braves can't hit the curveball. Are you saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? Major League, great movie. Gonna watch it again now. They can't. That has been, at this point, it is empirically proven. And that is, I hate to say it, because you ever been in a situation where things are going sideways, things are going poorly, and it's like the fix is easy, but you just can't. Like, you just can't do it. That's kind of what I feel about Atlanta right now.
Can't do it physically, or can't do it because you just can't, you can't force yourself to
whichever,
okay.
Honestly, like whichever. I was having this guy, I played golf with Joey B not too long ago. And we had this conversation that you go out to the range, and for those of you that are golfers, you'll very much understand this. You go out to the range. It's a conversation with Lonzo. Lonzo's Coach Zoe right now, teaching the next generation of rights how to swing a baseball bat. You can go out to the range and you can do all the drills. I got 9 different swing drills. If you watch the stream, I haven't done it today, but if you ever watch the stream, you'll see me pick up the putter. We got a little putting thing that kicks the ball. You make a putt, it shoots the ball back to you. All right. So your punishment for missing putts is you got to walk to the other side of the room. But if you make the putt, it sends it back to you.
It's brutal.
Yeah. So I have a putter here in the studio, and I will pick up the putter. And if you have ever watched the stream, what you have seen and will see is I do swing drills during the show. All right. The swing drill that I love is to go ahead and put your wrist in the swing position before you bring your arms back. Just get your wrist used to already being in that locked position before you come down. I have another one, which is to take a guide stick and stick it directly over the golf ball so that when you swing the golf club, you have to swing under that stick. If you swing over, it means you're coming down over the top. You're chopping on the ball.
What is a guide stick?
It literally is just like a sharp stick about that long that you stick into the ground, and it can be used to.
So it's about 3-4 feet long.
No, it's about 3. I'd say it's just a stick.
Okay, I'm helping the people in the radio.
Oh, sorry, got it. Yeah, it's. I just work on the assumption everybody knows what a guide stick is. It's just about a 3-foot long stick, sharpened on one end, that you can use to, like, one of the way you use it is before you address the golf ball, you point that guide stick at your target, and then you put your toes on that guide stick. Now you can look and say, okay, this is what it feels to be like aimed up properly. Or you might use it to the way I use it, which is you stick one end of the ground so it sticks up at an angle out of the ground over the golf ball. Now when I swing the golf club, I have to swing outside in to get under that stick to hit the golf ball. And you do this on the range, and you do it on the range, and you do it on the range, and you do it on the range to the point that it becomes muscle memory, right? It becomes muscle memory. This is how you swing. This is how you swing. This is how you swing. And it's one thing I can get dialed in down on the range, absolutely dialed in down on the range. But the minute that you you get up on the tee, you get a good tee shot. This happened to me a couple days ago. Hit a good tee shot, dead center of the fairway. I got like a 5-iron into the green. Easy approach, long and straight. Just hit your 5-iron pure, hit it straight, and hit it the right distance. It's going on the green. And I get out there and I swing, and wouldn't you know it, just like always, I swing up over the top of the golf ball and I chop down on it, and I end up just fatting it off into the woods. I was hitting the ball absolutely pure when I was out there on the range. When it came time to swing the sticks, I don't know if it's a mental block. I don't know if it's some sort of physical issue. I don't know what the case is. What I know is, whenever I stand out on a golf ball on a fairway in a game where I'm playing with somebody else, my body just goes, no, we don't want to do that. And it causes an issue. So I don't know if that's the issue with the Braves. If it really is just a matter of getting, yes, okay, I know I suck at golf. I'm aware of that. What I'm saying is, I can't figure out how to stop sucking at golf. Sean?
Didn't you grow up on a golf course?
I don't need your assistance right now, okay? I got enough of it showing up on the damn stream. I don't need your help.
My picture's over there. I'm here to help.
Yeah, well then help. You're doing the opposite of help right now. So, anyway, the point here is, sometimes you can train, and then when it's time to do the thing, you just can't do the thing. And there's ways to work around that. There's ways to get by that. And then there's sometimes not. Sometimes it just won't work. And I'm kind of at the point now where I am wondering, is that where we are with the Braves? Are we just at a point where, for whatever reason, they can't do it? That just, whatever. I don't know. This is where I would like to think that somebody like Brian Snicker would go get somebody like a swing coach that could go talk to the boys and go, okay, here's our problem. Here's what we're doing wrong. Look, we've evaluated. We've watched you all on the tape. We've watched you all on the film. We've watched you. And here's what's doing wrong. But here's the thing. This is the issue that has been happening since last opening day. It's the same problem that happened with the Braves last year. For whatever reason, there's just the mental block that they can't get past and get over. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm excited to watch Spencer Strider back on the bump today. I'm sure it's going to be very nice. And maybe even cause for mild optimism when Spencer Strider gets back to the bump today. Maybe Spencer Strider goes out there and forget the working their way back. Maybe they go out there and Spencer Strider goes 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. And you go, oh, big boy is back, baby. But it's not going to matter if you can't score runs. It's not going to matter if you can't score runs. And right now, unfortunately, for whatever reason, they can't score runs. And unless they get that figured out, none of the rest of this matters. None of the rest of it matters. If this team can't figure out a way to score runs, then nothing else is going to matter. And I don't know what there is to say past that. Like I was saying a minute ago, the solution is simple: hit the curveball. The solution is easy: hit the breaking ball. If you get to the point where you can hit the breaking ball, if you get to the point where you can start putting the ball into play, if you get to the point where you are starting to move the ball around the field, get extra base runners, now pitchers got to throw you heat. And now that the pitcher's got to throw you heat, you can kind of start to get comfortable. You can start, now the ball's going into play more often. The reality of this situation is that the solution is easy. Just start hitting the breaking ball. This team's bad. I mean, that's just all there is to it. This team is bad right now. And until they figure out how to do the little things right, it's going to stay bad. And frankly, I just don't see it getting fixed yet. And I don't know what there is to do to fix it. Now, as James pointed out, and he's not wrong, the good news for Atlanta is, if there is any, that the NL East as a whole is a mess. The Mets are 11-6. The Phillies are 10-7. The Braves are 5 games back of second place. If I told you at the All-Star break that a team is 5 games back of second in the division and a wild card spot, you'd look and you go, you're good. The Braves would be in last place in every division except the NL West, and that's only because Colorado exists. That's a 3-win ball club. You're 2 wins better than Colorado. It's not good. And again, the solution is simple. The solution is easy. It's go back to elementary level baseball. But if you can't go back to elementary level baseball, nothing else is going to matter, man. Nothing else is going to matter. And I don't, like I said, I would love to sit here and give you deeper analysis, and I would love to point out that, well, you gotta move your 4 guy to your 2 hole, and you got to put the 9 guy in the 5 spot because his WAR and his slugging. I'd love to give you all of that, but the reality of this whole situation is that's all a waste of time. They're not hitting the baseball, and as I am not a swing coach, I can't tell you what the key is. But when you can't hit Kevin Gausman of Toronto, what chance do you have when you circle back around to the Phillies for series number 2 and they're throwing Ranger Suarez at you? You got no chance. And until you figure that out, it's just going to be more of the gosh darned same. This is why I am at a place not of pessimism, not of negativity, apathy. Complete and total lack of care right now. Take a break. Back after this. What do you want to talk about? Let us know on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Oh, sounds so dirty.
Thursday, sunny 72, Friday, sunshine 82. For the weekend, highs in the mid 80s with partial sunshine. And we are just shy of 8 feet now, the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 55.
And now, the Daily Sports Spin, powered by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings.
Number 42.
Give me 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back. I got to listen to something. And so I opened up the Google Drive and started going through and listening to it and or looking through it. And I found in there audio files from Rob Brown on the radio circa 2008, which was like a year after I started doing radio. In fact, I was listening to one of these segments during the break, and Lonzo said, and I quote, "You sounded a lot smoother back then," which is fair.
I don't think I moved my head like that when I said it, but maybe I did.
I mean, that's just it. If I'm not saying it felt personal.
That's kind of like kind of what you're saying. I mean, it could have been the audio quality wasn't great either. So
for sure,
maybe
because again, it was 2008. I believe at that point we were still recording segments on like potatoes with wires jammed into them.
Okay, so it wasn't DAT or digital, those little digital discs. I forget what they're called. But anyway,
let's see. I want to see if I can. Here, I'll tell you what. Here's a snippet. You want to hear OG hosting Rob Brown. This is Rob Brown from like 2008.
Welcome back into Rivals on Yahoo Sports Radio. I'm David Nuno. I'm very much looking forward to the Senior Bowl tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. It's a great hot town, by the way. The last chance these college seniors have to show NFL scouts how they handle the work week like a true NFL team. It's all week with NFL coaches getting, analysis and being a real professional for one straight week. Our next guest has been there all week for the preparations, and he joins us now. Rob Brown of Yahoo Sports Radio affiliate station WTKE in Fort Walton. What's up, Rob?
David Nuno, what's happening, my friend? How are you?
Doing wonderful. So tell me what it's like there the whole week. Talk about what goes down during the Senior Bowl, the attention to detail, what these players are going through, their real introduction into NFL life.
Well, the first thing that they do is from the moment they get here, they're sitting down with scouts. They're sitting down with personnel from all 32 teams up to and including head coaches. The number of NFL head coaches who are here, and not just the coaches that are coaching the North and the South roster. Rex Ryan was here earlier in the week. Sean Payton
Rex Ryan
once or twice. And GMs, as a matter of fact, Jerry Jones was up here talking to guys personally earlier this week. So the first thing they're doing is sitting down with player personnel and getting the mental side of things worked out. And, trying to impress, trying to show that they've got what it takes in the old noggin to be able and be worthy of a team's draft pick. And then, of course, the practices itself, they're showing that they can go from a college scheme and adapt and pick up on different NFL style theories of play. They can work in different techniques. You'll see a lot of guys who played linebacker getting runs at fullback. You'll see a lot of guys who played center all year getting worked out at the left and right tackle. So they're getting a workout on both sides of the football at every different position. These guys really have to pick things up very quickly. But at the same time, it's their last chance to represent their school. You see them all rocking their team colors. As soon as they see a fan in the hotel lobby wearing the same colors, they've all been real cool as far as signing all the autographs you can handle. They did the meet and greet earlier. So, it's kind of an all-around experience for their last time getting to rock the college colors.
Yeah.
Young Rob Brown, 2008 Rob Brown.
All right, there's it was very smooth in a way where there were no ums or ahs. There was, there was exuberance there. There was so excited to be on the air. Yeah. I'm listening to it going, wow. So this was Rob when he first started.
Yeah.
Way to go.
That was Rob Brown with about a year of experience in the books.
Before he got completely jaded and
cynical.
And all that kind of stuff.
Decided that he'd rather be loud than talented. The basics. No, that was 2008 Rob Brown. That was a long time ago. I can still remember when. Woof, man. How am I still doing this? James said Yahoo Sports Radio. Yeah, there was a hot minute that, and I don't even know what Yahoo Sports turned into. At first, it was Sporting News Radio. Then it turned into Yahoo Sports Radio that bought them out. And then Yahoo sold it to, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know who Yahoo sold it to after that. They sold it to somebody else.
So that was 17 years ago. I would have been here over a decade.
I had to tell you, man. I don't have to tell you.
Well, that's how careers work. They overlap and things like that. So
2008, Rob Brown was covering the Senior Bowl for my very first station down in Destin, Florida. That's where that came from. That was a cat by the name of David Nuno, who still is broadcasting. As a matter of fact, he is. I want to say he's in Houston now.
You think when he got to Texas, he caught some bass for his voice? I mean, I'm just my dude's a little high pitched there.
This was said for the record. I don't sound anything like I sounded like then. Like we all adapt.
Yeah, because now you're gruff.
Yeah,
I'm Rob.
Yeah, you're gosh darn right I am.
Wow, that sounded nearly like something that I may have had to push a button for.
Gosh darn right.
Uh-huh.
I've picked up gosh darn right because of Lonzo.
No. It didn't start with that word.
It did. Gosh darn.
No, there was an S and an H right at the beginning before you got there.
Okay.
You did,
Hey, whatever. I'm still here. All right. I'm still standing. Yeah. As the expression goes. That was top value Rob Brown, and now we have great value Rod Brown. Well, you know what are you gonna do? I did enough bet. You know what it was? That was Rob, go cover the Senior Bowl. We're gonna put you in a Motel 8 about 15 miles outside of Mobile because we got it for $27 a night. And no, we don't have any stipend money for you. Why do you ask? And yet,
did you have fun though?
Oh, it was a blast. That, if I recall correctly, I think that was the year that Sean Payton and Jerry Jones had a big measuring contest about who was going to buy more expensive wine. And I got absolutely ripped that night because Sean and Jerry kept ordering bottles of wine and ordering bottles of wine and ordering bottles of wine, and they didn't want all of it. So they just started handing out glasses of wine from legitimately like $1,500-$1,600 bottles of wine. They just started handing it out to everybody sitting around the table. At the time, I was doing a weekend show with a cat by the name of Brian Harper. He is the brother of former Alabama Crimson Tider turned New Orleans Saints defensive back Roman Harper. So I knew Brian.
All right, I need to know this because I'll never experience it by choice. So can you tell the difference between a really expensive bottle of wine and a normal one?
Yes and no. After you've had 8, 9, 10 glasses of it, no, it all just starts to taste like red grape juice. I personally, because I haven't, this is true, I'm judging myself for it. I have drank wine for longer than I drank beer. I drank wine before I drank beer. And I can tell you that I'm at a point now where I can distinguish a good wine from an okay wine and an okay wine from a bad wine until I've had enough of it. And then it's like, no, it's just grape juice. The stuff that Jerry Jones and Sean Payton were putting on the table was like, it was delicious is what it was. It was just fantastic. Can I get this bottle? Stop it, computer. Can I get this bottle of 1902 French whatever? And again, like it really was just a competition between the two of them to see who was going to swing it around the biggest that night at the table. And I greatly benefited from it, to be honest with you. Greatly benefited from it. So good night. But yeah, that was 2008-ish Rob Brown checking in with you. Love that. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break because I got to get out of this. I can't do this. I'm just going to sit here and judge me for a very long time at this point.
I was helping you with the judging of you. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Team player.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, got a few more sports stories I want to knock out. We'll ask what the X is going on, and we'll call it a day. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show from 2008 is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, quick live coming right back.